Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey. I am your host. I am the COVID kid. I am COVID barely 18. Joining me as ever, my vaccine dealer, the scene stealer, foreskin peeler, thinker, stinker, pee-pee drinker, high-functioning pervert, master of hyperversion, 3 children in a trench coat stacked on top of each other, pretending to be an adult man, each child, of course, ripped, shredded, muscular-wise, with a huge, fat, veiny cock.
Oh, God.
Aaron Joseph Peter, how you doing?
I feel really nice,
Yeah?
That was,
You feeling nice, huh?
yeah. Ferocious in fashion, after such a sterling intro.
You like that fucking shit?
Oh, the flag fell.
The flag's at half-mast.
I'm at half-mast.
You said it, neighbor.
Half-past a monkey's ass according to his balls.
I got a workable softie, man. I'll put it in something.
At least something's working.
Working hard or hardly working?
Impotence is
A crime.
Speaking of impotence,
That's so stupid. Are you talking about the Frenchman henchman?
flaccid in fashion,
The COVID cutie?
Nope.
Handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hi. Great
a
to
Long
be here.
Island Lolito.
Lolito.
Nice. I like that.
Ooh.
Lolito?
Yeah.
I consider myself something of a Lolito. Perhaps you noticed my preteen mustache. Doesn't that look
My
nice?
peach fud. My
Watch
crackling,
out, ladies.
my crackling voice and youthful acne.
Ah. Matt Brousseau, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty fucking good, man. Feeling
I'm
pretty
pretty
good.
fucking far from okay.
Oh, we got to talk about it. We did, yeah, folks. If you want to get on the Etsy store, Profiles in Eccentricity, we do have I guess it's a classic Profiles gimmick, which is an overly bizarre, long-winded explanation of a joke, which is
Just get the shirt.
just get the shirt. It is the Hard Pipe Hitters Union, and we have a blowtorch and a pair of pliers. Of course, talking about Pulp Fiction.
That's right.
And,
minus any sort of racial epithets.
Yes, none of that is on there. Aaron was disappointed with that.
That's right.
It says we're pretty far from okay. That is kind of a rape joke, so you can buy that, and we'll get money for it. Also,
I mean, they said it in Apollo 13, too, so...
did they say that?
Exact word for word.
We're pretty far from okay.
No.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
They said the N-word?
Yeah, they said...
Houston, we're pretty far from okay, man. We're gonna slingshot around the moon, Daddy.
Far
Here
from
we
OK
come.
County.
Sure wish we had a blowtorch and a pair of pliers up here in Houston.
Sure is lonely when you're on the dark side of the moon. Yeah, you can get that at the Etsy store, headed by the fine folks at Graveyard Shift Screen Printing Company.
Thank you, Jesse.
Happy birthday to our little buddy Wilson over there at Graveyard
oh,
Shift.
yeah.
Tootie, huh?
Oh god, the cutest kid of all time. We'll hype up some other shit later. But I do want to say Jorge Riverol,
Wonderful man.
JORGERIVEROL.com. Check out his art.
Oh, yeah.
Commission him to do stuff. He's a great illustrator. He sent me a sick fucking Christmas card.
Yeah.
think you got one
me
too?
I still have the card. The card
get
itself
shit.
was sick.
I get,
And something gross.
Well, I think the card was maybe for me and you both.
Send me one of his
would've been
gross
nice to see it.
stickers.
He knows we cohabitate, I think. Well, it was addressed to me.
Yeah.
You were maybe deep down in the lower comments. But yeah, check out Jorge's stuff. Dodger, my buddy and avid Profiles listener, he's a big fan of Jorge. And I love you, Jorge. Thank you,
Love you, Jorge.
for the dope shit.
Wonderful man.
Now, Matt, I understand you have a city, an eccentricity.
A moment in time.
An eccentricity.
Whoa.
Did you ever think about that when you were doing this whole profile the whole time?
Man, I didn't think about shit.
Cool, man.
I think about shit all the time.
The best profiles happen when you don't think.
Yeah.
So what's going on here, man?
So this
Talking
is
about Philly?
I still have one more Civil War profile I want to do, but my next I'm gonna try to do a bunch of profiles on like utopias or people trying to build utopias. And of course, utopia is
somebody's dystopia.
I think that's upstate New York.
yes, it's a Greek, it's a neoclassical Greek pun. I don't know, or just a classical Greek pun, because depending on how you pronounce it, it either means perfect place or no place.
You're nowhere, pal.
Yeah, exactly. So there's really
Erewhon.
Westview.
But so this is the one that I've been thinking about doing this, the utopia thing for a while, and this one was just kind of stupid and right up our alley, really.
Nice.
And I want to talk about a small town in New Hampshire, and when a bunch of libertarians decided.
Oh yeah. This is there's animals involved.
Yeah, so most of this comes from Matthew Hungold-Tetling's book about it. Libertarian walks into a bear, and so he's wonderful writing. There's a bunch of things I'm not going to cover. That get the book. It's really, honestly, it's a really fun read.
Nice.
And
I love fun.
Reading can be fun.
Yeah, it's a very fun
these
read.
days.
But so we're going to start talking about libertarians.
Boys can be girls, girls can be boys. Put a man on the moon. The reading can be fun.
I thought you were going to rhyme there, but yeah.
I thought there was a rhyme coming too.
Yeah.
Well,
wait, you're saying boys can be boys? Oh, you're saying in a libertarian fashion that.
I mean, just if we can be non-gendered or any sort of leanings politically, then sure, you can. Reading can be fun too. Anything's possible.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you can,
Kevin Garnett knows.
Ixnay on the.
Ixnay, is that your pronoun?
Ixnay on the ox K. I call it willy nilly, right?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
It's a will-nil situation.
A nil-will.
Nil-will, yeah. It's a nil-will game. But yeah, that's classic libertarianism. I think Ron Paul ran on that.
So
Get rid of your cocks.
Libertarianism, as we know it today, is this long evolution that I'm not going to get into.
There's capital L and lowercase l, right?
I mean, not even just that. It's just like it evolved from this individualistic anarchism. This, Stephen Pearl Andrews and all kinds of thinkers of the 1800s, they dabbled in all of these little things, and then the way we know it today, theoretically, it coalesced in 1971 when the Libertarian Party was formed.
Sure.
And so from their website, lp.org, I imagine they built their own internet.
Third biggest electoral result every election, I believe.
Yeah, probably, but not
distant.
Not enough to get government funding.
Far distant, but it is interesting of all.
Yeah, they don't reach the threshold to get government funding.
Of all the miscellaneous ones, it is tops.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, they would probably be helped the most by having only government-funded elections. So
but then again, that's against the whole ethos.
Exactly. It's a beautiful irony in there, bro. So I'm going to go through their policies on their website. Taxes. If Americans want to give money to the government for one reason or another, they should be free to do so. If Americans prefer to spend their money on other things, they should be free to also do that. Obviously, there's going to be no problems with just relying on charity for everything. The economy. Libertarians believe that all people have the right to freely offer goods and services on the market, and that free market approaches are the most effective at improving people's lives. That's been disproven.
Time and time again.
There are some things that markets do not solve.
Nor want to.
Yeah, well, that's
exactly
what I'm getting at.
Civil liberties. Libertarians believe that equal rights of all people matter all the time, no exceptions. And they have a picture of a young black kid.
Hey.
And it should be noted that Ron Paul's newsletter ran racist essays all the time.
Yeah.
And
well, you're free to be racist.
Yeah, exactly, and free to not serve black people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you should serve people in general.
Yeah, that's very good.
Serve
right?
man? Are you doing a Twilight Zone thing? Very nice.
Crime and justice. Libertarians believe that the existing justice system is seriously flawed. Agreed, but you can be more specific than that.
That's as specific as they get?
Yes. Well, there's a learn more section. I'm not going to click.
We haven't really decided what's legal yet, but we are against the current system. Please vote for us.
Education. Libertarians advocate for a free market in education in which parents, teachers, and students, not the government, would make their own choices. Clearly, that wouldn't
we've seen
cause
how that works
any
out.
problems.
Yeah.
With one state being like, well, no, we don't do math anymore. And then,
Oh yeah, I mean, just fully privatized education, so everybody goes like, well, you know what the best company in the world is Walmart, and we are all in service to Walmart, and this fucking school is sponsored by a company, and we don't know anything because everything is privatized, and we're idiots.
Yeah. We only know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, we're halfway there anyways.
healthcare. Libertarians believe that healthcare prices would decrease and quality and availability would increase if healthcare was free from government meddling and control. That has never happened in the United States. And actually, prices and care is better in Europe, where government has offered
when you have purchasing power,
yes,
like the United States government, cost goes down when you can negotiate because you actually use the market to your own advantage.
Gun ownership, pretty self-explanatory. Every person has the right to arm themselves in self-defense.
Spread it on!
War on drugs. Libertarians believe a war on drugs is ineffective, unfair, and immoral. We advocate ending it. I agree. Immigration. Libertarians believe that if someone is peaceful, they should be welcome to immigrate in the United States. And then you go, well, what does peaceful mean?
Deserve to learn more?
And that's it.
Are they on my lawn or?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's more of like a philosophy than a practical party, and that's like the capital L and the lowercase L.
Sure.
There are things to get the government out of your life, get it out of your personal life, get the government to stop over penalizing people or putting people in cages, right?
Sure.
Those things to aspire to,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But as like a platform, they kind of take it like to the nth degree,
right?
Where it's like, taxation is theft. Okay.
No. Yeah, streetlights are nice,
right? Yeah, I mean,
do you like being able to? Do you
remember when
call the cops?
Remember when there were privatized fire brigades?
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember how great that market worked out?
Right. Yeah. The building would burn and the firefighters would beat the shit out of each other.
Right.
Yeah. And we can get into the nitty gritty of all that. But I think.
But let's not.
But there's not time for it now.
Definitely should.
I mean, but we'll touch on it in aspects. Personally, I believe that most of the people in high government offices, guys like Rand Paul, libertarianism is an excuse just to be a shithead.
I think a lot of it
is the guy who's making money from the government. He doesn't give back his paycheck.
A lot of it is ideology that is just dressing for being into property. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line. Kind of with libertarians, it's like, really stay off my lawn.
Yeah. Especially if you Rand Paul and your neighbor complains and beats you up.
Right. And so it's kind of a thing where you go like, okay, well, you can be like, it's cool if you smoke weed, but really all you're into is the most savage form of capitalism. Where you can do anything and, have your school teach anything and privatize water and do all that shit. Like anything, like people that are into that shit and Ayn Rand and all that stuff, they think like the market is like this
perfect,
a stabilizing supernatural force. And it's like
there's no such thing as a free market.
The market does not give one fuck about you.
It's not free. The U.S. government props it up.
Yeah, but even if it didn't, it could still be wildly out of whack. It would never be like a peaceful.
Yeah, in the same way that evolution is not a peaceful process.
Right.
Things die all the fucking time. It is savage.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, this is going to come up, but the thing with libertarianism is that you're free to do what you want, but what happens when what you want to do interferes with other people's lives?
Yeah.
That's where the issue comes up, because you can be free to do whatever you want in your own property, but when the fire spreads from your property to someone else's house, now is that still libertarian?
Right.
Now you're hurting other people's stuff.
Yeah, and is that guy supposed to pick up the bill?
Right.
For your mistake?
Yeah, the guy that pays taxes and has no problem
and
with
then
it.
you can extrapolate that to viruses.
I'm actually a libtardarian.
You're a libtard. Oh,
but for diet reasons.
I'm just a tard-arian.
Yeah, I'm the master race.
I'm a master weight.
Oh God.
Okay, so I'm going to get in just so here's some studies from the 2012 study Understanding Libertarian Morality. Psychological dispositions of self-identified libertarians. The research analysis of the personality differences. This is from Matthew Holtz Hetling, summarizing this, I believe. Research analysis of personality difference between Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians found that libertarians place the highest value on using logic and cognitive skills to solve questions of policy. They put the highest value on. Not saying that they use it, but they put the highest value.
Hey, it's a start.
Also from another study, Libertarians have a lower degree of the broad social connection that typifies liberals, as well as a lower degree of the tight social connections that typify conservatives.
And I bet that there is probably some overlap with where people live.
Absolutely. So what they're saying is liberals tend to have social connections that spread wide. So with very different types of people. And Republicans tend to have social connections that are very tight within the people they know.
They spread deep.
Yeah.
But
And libertarians
live in basements.
they don't know anybody.
They have a lower degree of both of those.
Right.
And so really those are the two types of connections you make.
Connection.
And those are, so...
So then when they get letters saying, pay this, they're like, I don't even know anybody.
Exactly.
Who wants my money? I don't understand. I'm a simple Idaho man. I live here with 50 guns.
And I know all the names.
I have a bale of hay you could construe as a wife. And I just want to be left alone with my family.
And in New Hampshire, there was a man named John Babiars. And
Babiars?
Yeah. In 2000, he ran for governor of New Hampshire as a libertarian. And he got kind of famous in the moment because during one of the debates, he looked at the camera and he said, government is not the solution, it's the problem.
And then Reagan adopted that.
Right. This is 2000.
Oh,
so,
no, that was Reagan. The government
Right. Reagan did say that. Yeah. And he gets 1% of the vote. But in 2002, he gets 3% of the vote. And he's gaining traction, right? And he's trying to explain, how libertarians can be kind of... a bit much.
The libertarian guy running for governor is saying, now my people can be a bit much.
Yeah, and what he says in the book, he says, quote, the libertarian movement is more cerebral, if you will. They lack the ability to deal with people at the human level, which is such an interesting quote because it is very much not a positive, though it's trying to sound like, well, they're thinkers.
Yeah, theoretically, there's other people that are not me.
Yeah,
but I can't prove it.
Yeah,
it's very much like
I'd really like to keep my money.
I think in the book they also say that they're more likely to be like lawyers. There's this very this logic-based thing. Well, this is how things are. So this is this.
That's
this
interesting.
Is this.
That's interesting.
Right, because logic has. You can make the argument that logic oversimplifies things in certain cases, or
but people that are sticklers for the rules. But also, who writes the fucking rules?
Right, and have you ever thought that the rules are flawed? Right.
Right.
But logic can oversimplify a case and not take into account extraneous or other, like the gestalt of the situation. Mm-hmm. And not everything is able to be distilled down into like an equation.
Right. Yeah.
But it is something I think, like as an ideal, you can kind of keep it in mind, like. For a lot of things, less involvement with bureaucracy and government is better for a lot of things.
Sure.
War on drugs, criminal justice, personal freedoms like being gay. and all that stuff. I mean, I know you want to be gay, so don't let the government tell you can't be gay.
Well, my weakness is men.
My strength is men.
yeah. My weakness is but I think there is. We talked about I think both of our dads.
As kind of like
as kind of being like
business owner men.
Sure.
Well, yeah, and getting into that thing of like my dad was with all of the health regulation stuff in New York. He was just like, it's just so much bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so much red tape, and he's like, I really nearly lost my mind trying to get a simple patio.
Yeah. For
people to sit outside.
Well, and it's interesting because of COVID. A lot of those restrictions have now been streamlined because of COVID, and all these restaurants have to have people outside. Now the health department has finally made it easier for businesses to do this.
But in LA, like there were a couple times where like they made all these businesses like. If let's say you're a bar and grill, whatever, and you're only indoors, but they loosen the restrictions on having the outdoor patio, right? So you spend all this money getting the outdoor patio and all that, everything, and then they say, no, we're out there. So like
I mean, we can have a whole thing about how LA,
No, but also didn't you tell me that they were going to allow most of them to stay? Post COVID.
Exactly. Yes. That's my understanding.
So I mean, part of the problem is that with government you get one message and then you get another message and then you get another message.
But it's particularly just grating on people when they see that there's just some sweeping order and no red tape and bullshit. And they're like, So you just choose when to make things easy or not, and that frustrates the fuck out
Absolutely. And a lot of that is transparency, lack of transparency, because you don't know what goes into making those decisions. You don't know what goes into making the changes.
Yeah.
Now,
And so
transparency is when you have a parent
Yeah.
who is trans.
Yes. That's
It's when
They're
your
invisible.
mother is the invisible woman.
Now what if your dad is trans?
Well, the Mr. Fantastic. That's
Or
he's pretty
Zims or
fantastic.
fantastic.
yeah.
Senor.
So okay.
Fantastique.
So Babiar's he's
My people can be difficult, he says.
but he's kind of like the leader of he's like the guy who's getting good results, all things considered. 3% in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is supposed to be like a libertarian, live free or die, right?
Hard.
Well, yeah. What are you saying?
And he
They didn't write it. It was people 300 years ago.
yeah, I mean, like in the Elizabeth Van Loo, Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Meanwhile, there's a bunch of slaves like outside the building.
No, it's give me liberty.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah. So Babiar's he lives in this place called Grafton, New Hampshire, and because of the attention he's getting running for governor, this project called the Freetown Project reaches out to him, and they have sort of a connection. And the Freetown Project is looking for a place to move libertarians to, and Babiar says, "Come to Grafton, New Hampshire." And so,
Why don't you lay your pitch on my baby ears?
and they did a bunch of like research, and I'll get into that in a second. But I want to tell you the history of Grafton, New Hampshire here. So here's Grafton, New Hampshire. The mid 1700s, whites start moving to the area, western New Hampshire. Now, before that, of course, there was the Abenaki. There were Indian tribes.
Our First Nations.
They were, that was their land.
Yeah.
They had been living there for generations, centuries,
Living
millennia.
in a libertarian utopia.
Yeah, exactly. But so the whites go there, and they get around the fact that the Abenaki are already on there, probably through murder. But they also they buy it from King George III, and as
Half a world away.
as Holt Heckling writes, they quote,
Sure.
they bought the land from King George III. King George III had got it from God. Because
It's hard to argue
that was
with
the
that.
belief.
The sun never set on the Brit.
Did the natives know God?
Well, their God was
He's the
like,
first, I mean, he's the landlord.
I'm assuming their God's like, well, you don't own this land. We're all part of it. And they're like, cool, yeah, we don't have to pretend we own. I don't actually live here. We're all.
We're renting it.
Listen, we're just as anarchists as you guys, except we believe in property, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna need a fucking Amscray, okay? Total.
Your name's Amscray? Shit.
So now, but even these the colonizers who move there, these white land takers who move there, as soon as they get there, they already go, well, we're here. We don't want to pay taxes.
Well, fuck that.
Immediately when they get there. 1777, they petition the New Hampshire Council that they should be exempt from taxes. It doesn't go. In 1781, they vote to secede from
Taxes.
the state and the union, so they don't have to pay taxes. That doesn't work. In 1796, they didn't want to have to pay to build the town meeting house, so instead they just bought more pews for their church and took partial ownership in it, and you don't have to pay as much or any taxes on that church.
It's just a
Why do you turn a town into a church?
Yeah, make the whole. Well,
Hi.
Maybe that's what the Abenaki did.
They turn the whole world into their church.
1856.
I think I just solved the problem, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn. That's what Vatican City is. Vatican City is its own country / church.
Yeah, but they made that deal with fucking
The devil.
what's his name? Il Duce.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get that fucking thing.
Yeah, but he's dead. He's not fucking there to care.
Yeah. He was communist like 3 months before that.
1856. They don't want to have to pay town. Raise a bond, pay a bond or raise money to pay for repairs on the church. So they split the church into half of a meeting house and half of a church, and then the church has to like cover the money to pay for the church. So they're just constantly like weaseling themselves back further out of things.
Sounds like there's a lot of grafting going on.
Very nice, Jet. Very
You
nice.
like that fucking shit? Is that what you like?
Grifting?
The graft is another.
I think grafting is like skin or plants.
No. Graft.
The graft.
The grift?
Grift is more like what a drifter does to you to get
That's
your
a
cock
drifter.
out. But graft is more like a pork barrel type.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yes, it's a higher form of.
A higher form of grifting.
Yes, yeah, which you would never come across.
I know about grafting in the scientific sense, but none of this back alley
when you fucking make your ass cheeks your actual cheeks. Yeah, I know you know all about grafting.
Yeah, here for Wikipedia, political graft occurs when funds intended for public projects are intentionally misdirected in order to maximize the benefits of private interests.
So this has nothing to do with that.
Well, yeah, they're not redirected. They're just not paid. But it's the same idea.
It's like grafting
instead of giving them, you're just holding them. 1904, Reverend Albert Louis Banks arrives in this. In 1904, the town's still doing all right.
Hey.
They
saw the church in half, but you can get in there. You see all the people.
In the 1850s, they hit what would the peak population until around the 2000s. They had 1,200 people. But even in 1904,
so they were holding steady.
They were still holding steady, and I'll do a comparison with a nearby town, so you'll see what the difference is. But even in 1904, I believe Holtz Hetling is writing about this in 1904 when Banks arrives in town. The population had dropped to about 1,800, but it still had 190 working farms. Hold on.
Hey.
Right. It still had 190 working farms. The Northern Freight rail line was running into town, so they had connections to drop off.
That was, I'm sure, a totally privately funded and built rail line.
Yeah, exactly. They had 3 post offices, 11 schoolhouses, a creamery, 14 mines, 15 mills, and a rich deposit of clay underneath a section of the neighborhood called Slab City.
Slab City, USA. Now the clay is good for what?
It's good for making.
You can play with it.
It's good for making bricks. It's good for making,
not for growing stuff, but as a resource.
Yeah.
Got it.
Let's say your husband died, right? And Whoopi Goldberg's bringing him back. You could shape a pot out of clay.
And then the ghost.
And you get him to fill you up.
You can make
all over your nice bosom. I mean, and you feel so good. Because you know that ghost man is Swayze, and he's there. And you're crazy for Swayze.
And you can make a dreidel.
You can.
Out of clay.
That's exactly right. And we're sitting on a mountain of it here.
You can make the world's biggest dreidel.
Oh, God. And that's exactly what they're all about in New Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly. So the Reverend, he buys this 2,000-acre plot in town, and he looked at the back end of his plot is this granite outcropping topping this 150-foot cliff, and it's called the Pinnacle. So you climb up this cliff, you hike up this cliff, and at the top of it is this granite outcropping, 150 feet in the air. You get a whole view.
An outcropping is like a cliff?
It's like at the top of this 150 feet, there's a section that crops out.
It's like somebody grafted on a piece of granite.
A phallic.
It's an overhang, kind of,
Oh, God.
And it's solid granite, which is also a resource.
You get a great view. This is not a hugely mountainous area. There's a bunch of valleys, so you get a really nice view of everything around you. And so Louis Banks builds a platform 40 feet high on top of it. A steel platform.
Oh, nice.
Steel tower and platform. And he tells everybody in the town, and he climbs on top of it. And he preaches to him, and he says, I'm up here to be near God, and he's going to tell me all kinds of things. And no one below had any idea what he was saying.
What are you saying, dude?
We can't hear you.
Jump. Jump.
I think he's going to jump. I think he's saying he's going to jump.
I think he's saying crisscross will make you. Go ahead and jump.
Famous last words. Crisscross made me do it.
The Daddy Mac made me do it.
The Mac Daddy made me.
And so it's
wiggity wiggity whack.
As Hungos Hetling writes, he writes, they'd built a town with few taxes and little state involvement, where a man was free to build an epic, towering pulpit that, once scaled, rendered one nearly inaudible.
My pulpit's gonna be so big.
It's gonna be a bully pulpit.
Hey, what were you saying up there, boss?
I'm gonna be Emperor Palpatine.
Now, in 1938, the Great New England Hurricane hits the area. This is a legendary hurricane.
Wait, which year?
1938.
Oh, so that's not the perfect storm.
No, certainly not. No, that just hit the lobsters. And 1938
It really hit the Afflecks very hard.
Yeah, exactly.
The great 1938. What is it? Timequake or
Great New England Hurricane. The Timequake.
the hurricane?
Great New England Hurricane.
Well, I think we never recovered after the 1938 New Hampshire.
Well, you
hurricane.
haven't.
The echoes of it still reverberate today.
Yeah, that's what that
Honestly,
sound is.
I can barely dress myself ever since the great 1938 hurricane
Yeah.
of New Hampshire.
No, just New England.
New England.
Oh,
well,
I mean,
that's
okay. So I mean,
which one's newer?
so just for everybody who may be confused, the United States is a dumb big landmass with a lot of like misshapen places, especially before.
Yeah, how stupid.
Especially like when as you go western, the states are far more square.
what is this, Tetris?
And so
What the hell are you talking about?
And so New England, you have Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island, in this little section. But Massachusetts, of course, has the Cape, the curling section. And then above Massachusetts, the state on the left is Vermont.
Right.
The state on the right is New Hampshire.
And they're 69ing.
Yes.
They're in a kind of 69 formation.
And then
So
Maine
hot.
is this little mitten,
Yeah.
Also, Michigan is a mitten.
Right.
Michigan is also a
Maine's
mitten.
not really mitten, but that's the best.
Now,
way to say it.
Colorado's a cute little square. Now, you must love that.
Well, there are 4 square states there.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where you get the.
What I really need is a Utah right now to land because
Give me 2.
So Grafton is on the western edge of New Hampshire. It's in Grafton County, which is about halfway up the state on the western edge, bordering Vermont. And anyway, so they get hit with the Great New England Hurricane, right? So the hurricane comes pretty far inland, but it's not like cruising through Vermont. Anyway, so when they get hit with the hurricane, there is a nearby private park, fenced-in area.
no.
And are you telling me that the hurricane did not respect private property?
No, it just doesn't give a shit about that.
They didn't read the sign?
No, it knocked down all of these fences. So in 1890, this asshole named Austin Corbett builds.
Hey!
Corbin. He builds this.
Oh.
He builds called Corbin Park, and it's a private forest surrounded by 30 acres of fence, 30
Perfect.
miles of fence. I'm sorry.
So
30 miles.
Austin Corbin
Yeah.
is not Boston Corbett.
No. Austin Corbin, notorious asshole. When he dies, the New York headline is like Austin Corbin injured, not dead, and then dead, and then there's like 3. He has a stagecoach accident, and the whole headline is the entire story, and then there's one sentence afterwards in the actual. The headline must have taken up head. Anyway, so in 1890 he built this giant park for himself, and he filled it with bighorn sheep and Russian wild boar and elk and the largest herd of bison in the world.
In New Hampshire?
Yeah. And then the hurricane knocked the walls down, and they
And
just
it was
scattered.
it was like Jumanji.
Yeah.
Behind its own
Wall. And so, there are stories of like all these creepy animals are all over the woods. There's Bigfoot sightings, and so the
Rhinos.
Grafton is surrounded by these thick forests and state parks, and so all of these animals got into the forests and parks.
I love that. I love invasive species.
and as libertarians, they all banded together and fucked all their problems.
Right, of course. So in 1963, the town says
You're on your own. I'm tired of being part of the herd.
I don't got any beast problems on my land.
now it's not the whole town is not libertarian, but they're up there to be to not have to deal with too much shit, right? It's a very
It's fierce frontiersman. But whatever.
there's some isolation to it. In 1963, the town says, "Hey, we're done paying for the church altogether," and they just renounce all ownership of it and just give the whole thing to the Grafton Center Congregational Church.
They give the church to the church.
Yeah. And then like 20, and then about 45, 50 years later, their church has moved to another church, and they even offer it to Grafton for free. And Grafton's like, "Oh, there's probably repairs. No, we don't even want it for free." But anyway, that's a whole nother.
So what happened? It's a whole other story. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, but free stuff. I mean, you
They were like, religion sounds expensive.
10%.
And so do you remember the Unification Church, Reverend Sun Myung Moon?
Oh, yes.
Reverend what?
Some young guy?
I don't know if you.
Well, now.
The Unification Church.
Yeah. We talked about it before.
Where and give me a little bit of frame of reference.
So it was Sun Myung Moon founded it in
Korean?
Yeah, 1954.
Hell yeah!
And it was kind of this like
I love Korean.
it was kind of this like love it fit in with like a hippie movement type of thing.
hippie Koreans. Epicurean Christians?
I mean, I don't know.
On acid?
I don't have enough. I don't know enough or care enough to go into that whole thing. But they briefly had like a summer retreat in Grafton for like a decade.
Hey, all right.
Because it was just, they were like, this is far enough out of the way where no one's going to give a shit. And so, it's like they recruited one American woman from Boston to go live in Grafton, so that way they wouldn't always freak the townspeople out when they would show up in the summer.
Yeah, one Boston lady really just kind of wipes the slate clean for 150 Koreans.
Yeah, because they're going to show up with all their
with
fucking
me.
psychedelic bell bottoms. And,
Cool cell phones.
Yeah.
And, Grafton itself is not really, there's only even, 2010 census, about 1,300 people there. And even that is not one unified town. It's a series of small villages.
Oh, God.
Like they're grafted onto.
And the names are things like East Grafton, Grafton Center, Grafton Village, Slab City, West Grafton, and Bungtown.
Bungtown?
Yes, because it was named after the barrels that they would make.
Yeah, it's a bunghole. That's what a bunghole is. You know that?
I do know that. And
bunghole.
Slab City was the clay people.
That's where the clay was.
Yeah.
Now, is there Teepee Town?
No.
For Bungville.
Oh, that's a big old stretch.
But
yeah, head. Yeah, I know where you're going. And yeah, there was.
You'll allow it.
Yeah,
right?
there was
Will you allow
a big shortage of TPs after the Abenaki.
Abenaki.
Well, there was Teepee Town, but they kicked out the Indians.
Exactly.
But so there was no teepee for the bunghole.
Well, the Abenaki probably didn't live in teepees.
There was no
because
teepee for the
there's
bunghole.
probably
Longhouses
or something.
Longhouses or teepees.
Yeah.
No, probably not teepees.
The teepees.
Yeah. Probably a series of underground tunnels that go straight back to where they started.
Yeah, an underground labyrinth. Yeah, an underground labyrinth.
We got these horseshoe tunnels. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So, as the years go by and the farm and the town shrinks again, the farms leave, all of this land, when they first started, they had a problem with bears in the 1700s. But as the town grows and all these farms, that pushes the wild animals out.
It vibes them out.
And
They
then,
hate farms. Dude.
And then as all of this land gets taken back by the earth,
And the bison.
then
and the Russian boars.
the animals start coming in. And so, the animals.
Animals are the ultimate libertarians.
So there's those Corbin animals, and there's talk of like 700-pound woolly tusked boars.
Yeah, the Russians.
And the coyotes in that area are larger than coyotes in the rest of the country, about 30%. And they're 30% wolf.
No fucking way.
So what?
30% wolf. They have a 1,400-pound moose.
Mooses are big.
Yeah.
Man. You ever see a moose?
1,400 pounds?
Yeah,
Dude.
They derail trains.
Dude,
that's
you
gotta be
ever
like-
seen a moose?
Have I seen them like in person?
Yeah.
Up close?
I mean,
Like smelt it?
they'll smell you before you smell them. A moose is like fucking 7 feet tall
Yeah.
Yeah,
on all fours.
they're big motherfuckers.
Right.
They're gigantic.
Yeah. And they got one thing on their mind, and what's that?
Chocolate?
Freedom.
Chocolate!
Chocolate.
Moose.
Chocolate souffle.
Chocolate.
Now, among all the,
Grafton, you're on the air.
I gotta say, I saw Richard Park recently, and he goes,
Shout out to Richard Park.
He goes, I'm listening to you guys fucking talk all this shit about how Larry King won't survive COVID. He goes, and he's like, then he dies, and he goes, I gotta give it up to you. He goes, once he was dead and you guys came back, he's like, you talk just as much shit about him.
Yep. We are consistent.
That's true.
I mean, he's a likable guy.
Yeah.
So among all of these animals,
I think he means Richard, not Larry.
Oh, Richard's a likable guy.
I mean, Larry seemed like a likable
Well,
guy.
you know.
Fine. These days.
I guess I don't fucking know.
Rest in
Anyway,
peace.
anyway,
Yeah.
So among all of these animals,
You're right. You're right.
the one that is known the best is the black bear.
I love a good black bear.
Now, there are two types of bears in North America. Basically, there's the black bear and the brown or grizzly bear. The black bear is through it. It's on the east and in Canada, and the grizzly is mainly only in Canada, and then a little bit in Wyoming and Montana.
I mean, and used to be in the West, but
Oh, no, there's spots in the West. There's like 2 or 3 spots there's a giant jump where the Rockies are, and then below the Rockies, there's a small section of them.
Yeah. And if you don't know, bears are monsters.
Yeah, you want to
They're just giant monsters.
You want to hear some bear stats?
I would love some bear necessities.
This is from Hungel's Hedling. Okay, so bears are incredibly strong. They can bend a car door in half. Oh, God. They have hunters have killed quarter-ton black bears in New Hampshire. The national record for black bear is 886 pounds,
which is
too beaucoup.
The soul bear, too beaucoup.
They have 5 each paw has 5 pocket knife sized claws.
Nice.
Because they have to tear open stumps and trees.
Whoa. And they're in gangs.
Yeah.
And those blister packs that are really impossible to open, like stuff you get from Staples and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
You gotta have bare hands, bare claws.
They feast a lot on young deer and moose, and the only thing that eats bear,
really?
The only thing that eats bear other than humans is larger bear.
Yeah, I was gonna say people. Yeah, nothing. They're top of the food chain.
I think that's also like a shark thing too, right?
Yeah, nothing eats sharks except Japanese businessmen.
But the shark, I think, it's like a far smaller brain than the bear is a little bit more intelligent, I think.
That's right. The bear is much more intelligent.
Bears have stronger, sharper eyesight than people and night vision. They have ears that are twice as sensitive as humans. They have noses capable of scenting a carcass 20 miles away. 7 times better than a bloodhound.
Yeah.
What?
A carcass 20 miles away.
Right.
20 miles.
That's a fucking
and that thing
huge.
stinks.
Yeah, and then there's like other shit from here to there.
Like a whole radius.
Yeah, there's fucking 15,000 pine trees between you and the carcass, and meanwhile you're like, oh yeah, there's a fucking dead yak.
No, my problem is that I wouldn't get there ever because of all the goosen logs I'd pass on the way.
Yeah, and those stink.
And those things, the millipedes. I can smell the millipedes from at least 4 feet away.
Wow.
And I go really close to them.
Wow.
And that feels good, Matt.
Yeah.
Now that just feels nice. You know what I'm talking about, goosen?
Yeah.
Do you like goosen?
Now that just feels nice.
I did it today.
You're cruising for a goosen, pal.
You know I am.
My favorite video game was Goosen USA.
That's true. That's true. That's
not
fact.
a video game.
I
That's
played it
life.
all the time.
Now,
My fingers
dream
are
you
raw.
had.
Now, bears, excellent. You can jump into the water to flee a cat, but you can't jump into the water to escape a bear.
No, they're fat. They run faster.
They love it.
They run 35. I mean, I don't want to step on your.
If you
your bear
spot,
claws.
this is from the book. If you spot Usain Bolt 25 meters in his world record-setting 100-meter dash,
You spot him how many?
25 meters,
A quarter.
You
Give
gave
him
him
a
a quarter
quarter way
in his
ahead.
world record run. A bear could still beat him to the finish line.
Really?
Yeah.
Any bear?
Well, not any bear, John. Jesus Christ.
Now, would it catch up to him with like is that swimming?
Running. Usain Bolt is not a swimmer.
No. But I'm saying, how fast do they swim too?
Faster than Michael Phelps.
Really?
No, probably not faster than Michael
Dude,
Phelps.
And they probably come out.
You know what? I'd be willing to fucking bet.
Well, we'll have to. Anybody out there who's
Maybe not
swam
in
with
the
a bear.
Olympic deep swimming pool, but like in a fucking hot, raging river.
We should definitely have an animal Olympics. I'm way in favor of
Animals
that.
will win almost everything except long distance.
Yeah.
Human beings are the best long distance runners on the planet.
Right.
We can outrun anything for distance.
How would they do in a spelling bee?
A bee would
Fucking
win.
asshole. Oh, bee. Yeah, the bee would win.
So
There's only one letter.
the National Park Service has this to say about if you see a bear.
Just shoot yourself.
Well, see,
Save your bullets.
talk calmly, make eye contact.
What's up, man?
Pick up a child
Wanna
if
talk
it's
some
around
shit?
you. Travel in groups. Make yourself
Throw the child at the
make
bear.
yourself as large as possible. Do not drop your pack because it could be protection for your back.
Anything.
Move away slowly and sideways because that keeps you from tripping. If you see a female with cubs, be even more cautious.
I'm not tripping.
Now, brown grizzly bears, if you're attacked, play dead. Black bears do not play dead. Hit it in the eyes and the nose.
Beat
Good
the
God,
shit. Beat
really?
the shit out of it.
So grizzlies pretend to be dead.
Yes.
With the black bears, do not pretend to be dead. Beat it about the face and balls.
Yeah.
If you can find them.
Yeah. A lot of them, they know that trick now, and they go and they get castrated.
But dude, bears hate that trick.
They hate it.
Yeah. Black
Also,
bears hate this guy.
Bear pepper spray and whatnot. But
Yeah,
even,
bear spray's the shit. But don't get it in your face.
What does it do?
It's like pepper spray times 1,000.
Whoa.
It's
because they see so good in the dark.
Yeah.
And they smell so good.
And then in the world,
The dead yak.
dude. And you haven't even talked about grizzly bears. Grizzly bears
Well, yeah,
are
they're not
2,500 pounds, and they're like 12 feet fucking tall on their hind
Well,
legs.
the grizzlier.
Yeah.
Who came up with the grizzly adjective? No, I'm talking about a real grizzly bear.
It was a grizzly.
It was grizzly. Huh?
Yeah,
What'd you say?
I like drizzly.
Oh,
The app.
so hot.
Their logo is a bear.
Oh.
So there's actually
You ever see a bear without hair? You ever see a bear without its coat? Like bears with alopecia and shit?
Oh.
It looks insane.
Bear?
A bear.
It looks insane.
Oh,
How those big old balls look. So
I'm not
gross.
looking at the balls.
But you can see them for the 1st
I'm
time
sucking
ever.
them.
You suck the fucking thing.
We're in a gorilla mask.
Dude, really? You saw a hairless bear?
You want to see it?
Not
This
now.
is this is worth showing.
All right, yeah, show it to me.
So as he's looking that up, I'm going to go through some of the history of so bears don't, there's very little record of bear attacks. I mean, bears have attacked people and there's definitely, stories of it, but it's not a usual thing.
Yeah, the super, I think, really kind of, very much in the wild animals are usually not too into attacking humans. Like,
No, it's usually, it's not, even the calculation, even when they go through the evolution of them is still stay away. Because if you do attack one, you're probably going to get killed, and so that doesn't.
Yeah, but I think it's always like a lot of the times, like where you're like, if it's anything from like an ape to an alligator to a bear or whatever, it's always the ones that are more used to being around people that actually will kill people. Oh, that's a fucking nightmare. It looks like a big ass cat.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an elephant, actually.
Oh my god,
Dude, man, hairy elephants,
Dude,
that'd be
a
cool.
grizzly bear versus
Like a
elephant.
mammoth?
I watched that.
Yeah. So in the area, like all of the bear attacks before, the 2000s, there were so few that there's record of all of them. 1776,
The year history started, my friend.
Elazer, how do you pronounce Eleazer?
E-laser.
Yeah,
Laser.
he's part of the
Yeah.
American Gladiators, 1976 version.
That's how you know he's telling the truth. Yo, my name's E-laser. Yo, a bear just fucked me up, man. I survived though. Everything's
Also,
cool.
I'm a time traveler from the future in 1776.
My name is E-laser. My real name's Eric.
It's probably like Elazer.
I'm not like your analog
Laser.
lasers. I'm an E-laser.
Anyway, I got away.
And so he's out for a walk.
On
and
account of the lasers.
He's out for a walk and a bear shows up. He shoots it. The bear gets up and then runs off. He shoots it right in the head. The bear gets up, walks
Shakes
up,
it
runs off. He goes and E-laser gets his hunter friend. They track the bear down and they split up to like.
Bad
Get him?
idea.
The bear fucking hops on E-laser and just goes to town on him.
Oh, like sexually?
Yeah.
With a blowtorch and a pair of pliers?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that E-laser fucked a bear?
And then his friend shows up and shoots the bear and kills it. But for the rest of E-laser's life, he would have quote unquote bear fits.
Huh?
Bear fits.
So
So he
he's-
survived.
Yeah, he survived, but he probably had like either some insane trauma or a physical problem.
Like he peed and pooed out of one hole.
Yeah.
Because the bear
He had a cloaca.
fits.
If the bear fits,
The bear fits.
bear it.
1784, a man named
It fits now.
1784, Mr. Leach spots a bear dragging his 8-year-old son around.
Nice.
He attacks the bear, but the
To like
bear
parties and stuff?
Yeah, the bear fights him off. He runs to go get help, and by the time they get back, the son, his throat has been chewed out, and his leg has been, his thigh is dead.
Dude, bears eat their own kids. Their own kids.
What?
Why? Because they're fucking hungry.
Yeah, but this is like
Okay,
But this is New Hampshire, and there's rules.
I don't know if the bears got a memo. Or,
We're living free, or we're dying here. Okay,
well,
there's no
let's
taxes.
This guy.
There's no taxes.
government's gonna tell me I can't eat my kids.
Or yeah,
I thought we were libertarian here. Libertarian.
libertarian.
I'm eating my kids. Sorry, you can tell me I can't. My wife fucks our son, and I eat my daughter. So
My
like, it's taboo
libertarian-
3 or not,
My libertarian diet is I eat your kid,
dude.
and that's fine these days.
They'll just eat their own fucking kid.
I mean, hey, they're big, strong animals that
bored and dumb?
they have no predators, and if they're hungry, they're gonna eat. So this area has places called Bear Hills, Bear Hollows, Bear Ponds, Bear Brooks, Bear Creeks. So everybody's like, they named the places for all these bears. And as the town grows, the bears also, they get freely available crops. They get corn and apples.
The right to vote.
Yes.
Well,
But-
which bears? Black bears?
Yeah. So after the government is formed, the killing bears becomes a thing people are paid to do. They get money based on the head. You kill a bear, you get some money. Right.
Bear meat's good.
Just to keep the bears away from people.
Right, get the fuck out of here.
This one man named Tom Locke, he killed 16 bears in one season.
No way.
That was the record, I guess. Some unnamed Scotsman killed 49 bears over the course of a few years.
How many?
49.
And he's unnamed.
Yeah. In 1803, they
We
sent...
didn't understand what he was saying when he reported his name. We just gave him
I
the catch.
didn't catch his name.
I gave him a few fucking pelts. It was beaver. I didn't get a single bear. You stupid daft American cunt.
Hey, fucking yank cunt.
I'm catching the first skiff back to Scotland. Spend me $100.
I got a big fucking sack of bear balls, and I gave them a pack of beaver pelts.
You think I'm a fucking crocodile hunter?
I gave them fucking gator tails.
Stop yelling into your mic.
The fattest rails of fucking gator tails, mate. You thought it was bear, it was beaver, man. I'm a beaver eater. You in the swamp now. You in New Hampshire swamp. Oh, yeah, you in that New Hampshire swamp. We got clay, too. You want to make a pot? You want a vase?
You in the dam now, people.
In 1803, they sent 25,000 bear skins to England. They were
Beaver.
Beaver. They just stitched together a bunch of beavers on their bear.
No.
As you can see, the grizzly bear has 42 eyes.
It's a mythical beast. I got now. If you see here, I've got this bear skin rug from the colonies. And the funny thing about bears in the colonies is that they have 38 eyeballs.
No wonder they don't want to pay bloody taxes. They're being attacked by this Lovecraftian eldritch horror.
Could you imagine the savagery?
Absolute disaster.
It's a minotaur-like beast over there in the States. Could you imagine?
The rodents, architects. They're architects of the swamp.
People are saying that they're taking gator tails to the dome. I mean, can you imagine snorting gator tails? I mean, these people are outright savages.
Now we're done.
We had to get that out, you know?
It got out.
I can't fucking take a note while you're talking. I got to just interrupt, you know?
No.
No, sorry.
There is the bears are part of the culture there. There was this is from Vermonter.com. Maidstone, Vermont, nearby in Vermont, had a infamous bear called Old Slippery Skin.
Oh, God. Is that like the skunk ape?
Was he just a giant beaver?
I think it was that one that you just showed me. Old slipper skin. You can't get him. You try your best.
He apparently he was according to the history, he was a real fun-loving bear. He would fill sap buckets with rocks. He would throw barbed wire into hay rakes and mowing machines. I mean,
It was a guy in beaver pelt.
Yeah, exactly. But in 1815, Vermont Governor Joshua Galusha, he's running for re-election, and he says, "Well, I'm running for re-election. I'm a real man. I'm gonna go kill that bear."
The fun-loving bear?
Yeah.
He's just a prankster bear. You want to kill him, not the guy that's like eating kids and stuff.
Right, exactly. But Galusha, he shows up in the woods where the bear is. He takes off his clothes and he covers himself in lady bear scent.
Nice.
And he goes into the woods.
Sounds like a logobolist.
I might not be back for a while, guys. Or ever.
I covered my cock in honey.
I heard they like eating out.
Are you telling me that you had sex with Slippery Paul?
I put a beehive in my ass.
It's all for you, honey.
Now who's a Pooh Bear?
Very good. So
I want a honeycomb over.
the story is he takes his gun and he goes into the woods, and then not like minutes later he comes running out of the woods saying, "Out of my way, boys! I'm bringing him back alive," because a bear was chasing him.
No way.
Presumably to fuck him. Then he lost his re-election. It was a
because
really
he dragged the bear into the city.
yeah. And then the bear won. The
Bear won the
Bear won
election.
the
Bear won the
election.
election.
Handily.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bear Polly. Yeah.
No, really, what the fuck happened? Come on, tell me.
No, nothing. He just lost his re-election because he didn't kill this bear. He said.
But the bear chased him.
Yeah.
Chased him around and around.
Yeah. He smelled like Lady Bear.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he going into bear fits? Oh, God.
Did he fuck him?
No.
Did he come?
But the bears are such a part of the culture that.
Yeah, it's part of.
Oh, yeah, we understand how much a part of the
yeah.
culture.
Okay.
They're terrorizing everyone. I'm going to disguise myself as a lady bear.
No, so back to Grafton. In 1999, this woman Jessica Sewell, who she's the Boston woman who the Moonites, the Moonites,
Moon Knight. Moon Knight coming to Disney Plus starring Oscar Isaac. Check it out.
the Moonies brought to Grafton. And
the Moonies.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the Moon guy, the Korean guy you were talking about. That was the Mooney cult.
Those the Moonies. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I did not know that it was a Korean thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lunar thing.
No.
It can be both.
There's no reason.
Well,
why.
they got the moon in Korea.
Yeah.
They got the moon in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
big
not
time.
all of it, but
Crescent.
But the ideology behind it is mainly
South
Korean,
Pole.
yeah.
I did not know that.
Tides.
it's just, so she's living in Grafton. 1999. She has she gets a bunch of kittens. She has 3 kittens, and she's playing with them. And one day she's playing with them in the yard, and a bear runs up and just scoops all the cats into its mouth and runs off.
No.
And she's like,
Hey.
one of them falls out and lives. The other two she hears
Crunch.
being eaten by the bear, and it's 2 cubs.
Really?
And she's like, this
You
is
must never see this footage
Yes,
ever.
exactly.
Hearing
Yes.
it is an obscenity.
But it's
Go watch Grizzly Man.
It's a very unheard of thing at that time in 1999 of a bear coming to so close to someone's place and taking something.
What are these kittens? Nice.
And that's where Hungoltz Hetling is a local reporter for the Valley News, and that's his assignment, and that's where he gets into his whole following of this. And so next we're going to get into what happens when the libertarians showed up. We've heard about libertarianism, and we've heard about bears,
The ultimate libertarian.
and now we're going to hear what happens when they take over a town.
when they square off.
This is the true story of what happens when libertarians and bears stop getting polite and start being real in New Hampshire. And also, they're not bears, they're actually a series of beavers
In a trench coat.
that people expect to pay taxes, which is not chill at all.
They'll be damned.
Yes. Folks, we'll be right back for the epic conclusion of Bear Beaver economy.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Hey.
Folks, I would like to tell you right now, we are doing a little new thing on the Profiles show on the Stereo app. And what Aaron and Matt and I have been doing is we've been talking about specifically WandaVision.
That's right.
You guys know we're fucking like Marvel Comics nerds, and we've been talking about WandaVision as it comes out. So you can tune in. If you do join the Stereo app, go to stereo.com/profiles.
Mm-hmm.
If you join the app because of us specifically, I think we get like 10 clams or something.
Yeah.
And that's like
I love shellfish.
that's like 2 fucking coffees or something. Probably
I
like
mean, that's like half an 18 pack.
Yeah. Of Union made PP beer. And
Yeah.
so please, if you wouldn't mind hearing more of our dumbass shit,
Check it out on the Stereo app.
Check it out on the Stereo app. That it will cost you not a damn thing, but it will benefit us. And also, if you do want an entire extra episode per week of Profiles, plus Connections, plus Aaron Explains It All, plus fucking Chopped Up Jukebox, our music program. If you want an extra episode per week, please subscribe to our Patreon, $5 a month, and you'll get a lot more of our dumb asses.
Yeah.
The last episode... I could not on Stereo app. I could not get into, but you and Matt talked about the latest episode of WandaVision, and it was, I chimed in.
You did.
I was able to message in, but it was really great. You guys did a great job. And also you and Land from Starburns have been talking about some of the profiles and stuff, and I think Aaron and I will be doing that in the future.
We talked a little bit about. Well, you know what? You and I, we watched Mishima.
That's right.
We watched the Mishima movie,
which I brought up to him and Land. Yes,
great. On Yukio Mishima, one of our early profiles.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that early. It might be
it's first year.
Yeah,
first 50 episodes.
Yeah, first season.
First season.
Yeah.
Check it out.
We also we do have a PP podcast is on Twitter. That's you can follow us there if you want to see some of the weirdos we're talking about. Join Profiles in Eccentricity on Instagram.
What about video?
Video, we are all over YouTube, and if you click the bell and ding it and push
smash the bell.
Hit
the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. We're getting a lot of love and hate over there because it is YouTube, and it is basically I would consider a libertarian jungle.
Yeah, someone said we were jacking off too much, and it's like, dude,
what?
On YouTube? I do it all the time.
I mean, on XTube, YouPorn, XXN,
RedTube.
Yeah.
I know some of these places more than I know my own grandmother's name.
Ex-hamster.
That which is my grandmother's name.
Who brought the eggs? Who brought the hamsters?
Well, you know what I think is like, oh man, this is not my current hamster. This is my ex-hamster. Like we don't get along, but she's a real freak.
You know what I saw today? I was driving down the street was this on a bumper sticker, which I didn't know how to understand. I don't know what the point is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if either of you can tell me or any of you folks at home.
Okay.
Just a bumper sticker. It says text your ex. What is that about?
It's just like coexist, man.
Text her.
You want to see something I saw on the freeway?
Tell me.
Oh, okay.
Check out the license plate.
You think that's him?
Can you see that?
I cannot see it, but what does it say? Whoa. CPT space AMR.
With the shield.
With the shield of Captain America. Yeah, that's very, very nice.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Yes, on the phone. Yeah.
I bet they're probably Captain America.
Do you think that's really Chris Evans in the Jeep Liberty Hummer, the H3 Hummer from 2005?
It's probably the real Captain America.
It's probably the real Captain America. He buys American. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
He's a grizzly man.
You know what? It looks like there is also a Punisher skull.
Uh-oh.
Blackwater Punisher skull.
Wait. Is that a Punisher skull inside of an apple? So it's like, I'm a vigilante teacher.
I value graphic user interface aesthetics.
You see 187?
Yes, they deserve. Wrong movie.
I thought it was 187. So
I know, but it's all right. We all
funny.
make mistakes.
Everybody does.
Did you say steak?
Now, this is basically a whole profile about a city making mistakes.
Yeah, something like
also
that.
An ecosystem.
And the god that failed.
The city itself, they didn't have much of a say. Because in 2004, these libertarians start moving in. And they're coming through this thing, the Freetown Project, which eventually is the Free State Project. I think even at the time, it might have been a splinter group from the Free State Project, which is this whole libertarian thing of libertarians all move to one place.
Yeah, and that's where all the pedophiles
state.
go. And,
yes, we'll get into...
I grew up in a free town.
Yeah.
Baby town in a free town.
Yeah.
Did some drugs in a free town. Murdered some cats in a free town.
So, like, some of the original people, like one of them is a 55-year-old lawyer and Barry Goldwater fanatic, 38-year-old businessman, 48-year-old software engineer, and aspiring firearms instructor.
Aspiring?
Yeah. And
He's pointing it backwards.
yeah, exactly. I can't wait to do this. And
Those who can't do teach, you know?
Yeah.
And one guy who was very big on the Freetown Project forums under the moniker Zach Bass, a 61-year-old man.
It's not Zach Bass.
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah. He was a 61-year-old man whose real name was Larry Pendarvis, who tried to keep his. Well, he didn't really try that hard to keep his real name secret, but he was moving from Florida, where he was. He worked with the Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services, and then his coworkers found over 100 instances of child porn on his computer.
Yeah, well, listen, man, you don't need the government telling you what you can or can't jerk off to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they think the system is broken in ways that they prosecute child molesters.
Yeah.
We do not like
The criminal justice system is broken.
Yeah.
If I want to traffic in human pain,
I'm in jail.
Who's to say?
who is to say?
So the idea is this. Get enough believers into an existing town, vote yourself into power, use the infrastructure of the town that, like, you're just abusing the system.
You import the electorate.
Yeah. And then you can use that by you take power over the town and use the infrastructure that's already been created by government services to then create a utopian libertarian society.
And then remove any sort of infrastructure.
Yeah, so these are the goals. I used the Wayback Machine. Thank you, archive.org.
Dude, that website has been around for like 25 years, and it's one of the...
It's a time traveling device.
It's a gratuitous grace of the internet. You know, the Wayback Machine is from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's exactly right.
But the Wayback Machine, in terms of the internet, archive.org, that's been around forever, and it is
long time.
It's one of the hidden gems of the internet. I highly
Yeah.
recommend checking it out.
So this is word for word what was on the site in 2004. The Freetown Project intends to liberate either a New Hampshire town or a western county by moving in enough libertarians to control local government and remove oppressive regulations, parentheses, such as planning and zoning and building code requirements, and parentheses, and stop enforcement of laws prohibiting victimless acts among consenting adults, such as dueling, gambling, incest, cannibalism, and drug handling.
Drug handling.
Specifically, I mean, the fact
Yes.
that they say specifically incest, cannibalism,
Dueling.
What if you're somebody behind the duel?
What do you mean behind the duel?
Like if there's two people dueling and I'm like 20 feet watching it from behind.
Well,
Somebody misses.
that's your fault.
Okay, wait. So tell
Not
me
the mastermind behind the duel. What if you're a bystander? Like, you know, it's an innocent crime firing a gun into the air until a bullet hits a kid.
Right.
So
or
okay.
anybody.
Right. Like,
Unless the kid was asking for it.
so what are they trying?
Victim is
What are
crime,
they
sorry.
trying to do with cannibalism? Legalize it?
Yeah.
Legalize it.
Why?
Well, Jen, you also have to remember that the people writing these things down are also the type of people who feel like they need to write these things down.
I don't know. It's weird. I want to eat a guy.
These are the people without social skills.
Call me a
Yes.
freak. Call me a pervert.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I'm here from
Here's the
Wyoming.
thing.
I don't know where New England is. I don't know where Old England is.
If you're into cannibalism, laws aren't stopping you.
Right.
Just don't talk about it.
In fairness, I mean, the most recent case was the German one, and
It didn't stop them.
I don't even know if it was like a crime over there. They're so liberal.
But it didn't stop them.
What laws?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's also a thing about like consent of like wanting to be eaten.
The consent of the consumed, of course. But,
So what's the
but-
problem? I don't understand. He was
Nope.
hungry, and the person wanted to be eaten, and like
but John,
maybe that's their right as an individual.
What is stopping you from eating another person?
What is stopping me?
The law?
Yeah. Also, my
John, is the law stopping you from eating another person?
No.
Point,
Right.
set,
Yeah.
match.
Point. Are you saying I win? Is that
No.
are you
No, we
cheering
all-
yourself?
No,
John?
you win. We
Cannibalism.
all
Are
win.
you doing a touchdown dance right now?
Yeah.
From saying that the law will not stop me from eating. No, but
There are laws that don't need. So it's kind of making a better point than the libertarian is making. Like, you know what? We have so little laws here. Cannibalism's legal. It's like, well, listen, man, you don't need to fucking talk about it. Like,
Right.
you want a town full of cannibals and incestuous perverts? Is that the town that you want?
It is just weirdly specific. It's a thing. Why mention it?
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Why mention that in the brochure?
I mean, and
You could say, there's,
I know where you're going, and I just want to say real quick. It is a thing where you go like,
why is that the billboard?
The fucking the zoo movie or whatever, like where they're having sex with animals. It's like there was no laws there because they're going like, well, nobody would want to do that, and then it happens, right?
But it would happen. The people, it happens everywhere.
No, I know, but I think there's also like this thing too where I think people are driven a little bit mad by this thing of like, laws are never really unwritten. They're only written over. And then there's just kind of like this maelstrom of like more and more bureaucracy and like threads and stuff. And there's like nobody ever going like, okay, let's just stop all that.
Right. There's still laws in like North Carolina. You can't have a giraffe tied to a water hose.
Right. So they're just not enforced.
In a way, it feels like kind of like a Bible, like where everybody chimes in and has something to say, but about rules for living.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That's it.
So also on this, so I'm going to keep reading from the site. The proper function of local government ought to be to find ways to protect, in bold, its residents from the oppressive state, not to use state laws against them. Also in bold. We intend to ensure that the sheriff's office or the town police are never allowed to waste valuable town resources, parentheses, in bold, taken from the residents as taxes, all capitals, at the point of a gun.
Well, that's like the ultimate distillation of libertarian logic, which is really highly simple, way too simplified. Is that everything the state does is at the point of a gun?
Right.
Sure.
It's actually more at the. It's really at the point of a judge's gavel and a pen.
Right, and then it's like, well, then what happens if you don't do it? Well, then they come after you, and then what happens? Then,
if you shoot at them, then
eventually
you go to jail.
Somebody with a gun comes after you.
Not only that, but it's
okay.
All right. This is really my problem with it.
With what?
With the whole thing of like we're so oppressed. It's like you guys, you get in there, you fucking beat the native people off the land, and you're like, we're starting our own crew, right? And we don't want to fucking pay no mafia. No, and it's like we're gonna be the fucking baseball furies, and you're like, yeah, but you're a puny little stupid gang, and there's a much bigger gang that is the federal government, and you don't want to give them anything. But you still want to handle shit the way that you do.
You should have just joined the fucking Abenaki tribe.
Yeah.
It's one of
there was no government.
Well,
period. End of story.
It's the same thing with the Bundys, right? The Bundys, they get angry because they have to pay land fees.
Ted
but it's like,
or Al?
Ted Bundy. But the
Ted Bundy?
No. What's his name?
Bud Bundy.
Oh, no. What the Bundy?
You're talking about the Oregon
the
Bundys.
Bundy clan. Whatever the fuck it is.
Oregon Bundys.
But they owed decades worth of money for grazing their cattle on government land, and they said, "Oh, this is free land," and it's like, no, the government killed Indians to take it.
Right.
You didn't do anything. This isn't your land. You can't just claim it's your land.
Yeah,
and
which is very Indian.
No,
what?
Who owns the land?
Oh, of course, yeah. Except
if you
my
want to be a
land.
true
Except
libertarian, you should have joined the fucking Native Americans because there was no government, and honestly, well, there was no private property, so you got to mix some trades.
No, but that's the thing is that to me it's a small crew that are not paying tribute to the bigger mafia boss.
Right.
And they're going like, yeah, we started our own. We got a political ideology of why we don't have to, and it's like you guys are just fucking nerds. You are also bullies. You are benefiting by the people that you have, put down before you.
Right.
And now you don't want to pay a dividend to a much more powerful,
who also, they if you pay that protection money, you reap the benefits of it.
You get the shit. Yeah. You get to set up the state.
You get a lot of shady deals
because they'll shoot the bears.
Yeah. It's really, the thing of like all those dudes that were in the New York Mafia, they would see those street kids and they'd be like, okay, you're doing all this shit, you're getting away with it. You're going to give me 10%. And if you don't, we're going to fuck you up. And then they would do it. And
we won't protect you against other people that want to fuck you up even more.
Exactly. So,
right. I mean,
which is what the federal government is.
So it's just kind of a fucking brat attack. And that's what I hate about it. It's a total
Brat Attack was my band.
It's a brat attack. And it's drenched in this like fake ideology of
the whole colonies were a brat attack. Like, what?
Absolutely.
We're going to come here and we want to escape repression so we can oppress other people.
Yeah.
No, yeah. The whole thing
Everything's a brat attack.
But
the United States is a brat attack.
It goes in perpetuity.
Let me speak to your manager.
Forever, and then
on and on and on.
I mean, like all of these people come here from England and then are still annoyed with England.
And it's also like the worst people that came.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're like, we need to start a colony. Also, England's getting rid of slavery. Well, we're gonna keep it because that's all we have. Like it's
And,
just
and then
we're gonna
Europe benefited
Then
from
we're gonna
slavery.
fight a war over
Sure.
slavery. It's just the United States is a brat attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a thing where, and then it goes on and it gets stupider and people get greedier. And then it's like, oh, well, the South is taking their football and going home.
Yeah.
They're going like...
And meanwhile, their home fucking sucks and they have no economy.
But it's like, it's always...
Oh, and also, the North was like, we like the sugar and the cotton, and also
absolutely.
Europe does too, and so we're gonna not let you take your football and go home.
Right.
And then we're going to zone, they're like, we don't want, even the North is like, we don't want our white kids going to school with non-whites. It's like, it's all a brat fucking attack.
It's all,
Stop.
It's all
But
bratty.
it is. And
I mean, Europe is probably like, England's probably like, thank God we got rid of those. Thank God those folks aren't here anymore.
yeah. But imagine it was really like, 50 of us. I'm like, I'm over here chilling and like, you guys all give me money. And then you got to still be like,
Sure.
well, what do you think, John?
course.
And I'm like, well, I don't like it. And you're all giving me money.
I mean, yeah,
It's like the dumbest fucking
King
thing in the
George
world.
III was a brat attack.
I still
It's
have a
just-
fucking
yeah.
voice, even though like I'm just totally like mooching off all of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine how insane.
Of course.
But I mean, if you
And
are also
taxes.
if you are also, and I'm not defending the monarchy or the
Too late.
idea of a monarchy, but if you are also fighting off other assholes that want to take our shit, then you get a say.
Wait, explain again. What are you saying?
Are you the guy taking money?
Right.
Are
for,
you
like,
saying that you're
working
the
with
monarchy?
king.
No, I'm
Right.
saying I'm a poor state.
Oh,
No, but
I'm
even then,
sorry, I
you're,
misunderstood
Even
your
then, you're
analogy.
right though. If you work with the king, he's like, now you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh yeah,
I'm
no,
right there.
No,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, it's a total loyalty thing. But what I'm saying is that like, there's states that still.
Oh, you're talking about the red states that take more money from the federal
Yes.
government than put in, and
Yes.
they still get a fair say.
and they
Oh yeah, fuck that.
and what they're saying is just not going with the flow or helping at all.
Well, so all of these things are things that these are things that will come up again. Various that are just like,
I don't think black bears should vote.
if they're 18,
I don't think bears should vote. Sorry.
well, obviously you've never had a
Except
bear
polar
mayor.
bears. Polar bears get.
Right.
I like me and grizzly. Okay, so
Polar bears are grizzly bears.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're polarizing politically.
They were polarized lenses.
They were polarizing when they had 10 switchblades on their fingers.
Clack clack.
Yeah.
So back to the specificity of their, again, to the Freetown Project website. So they write, we intend to ensure that sheriff's office or town police are never allowed to waste valuable resources to oppress our residents by the investigation or enforcement of violation of laws that publish truancy, compulsory schooling, stem cell research, drug trafficking, prostitution, obscenity, organ trafficking, bum fights, and other victimless, quote, crimes.
Victimless. Wow.
Just the specificity of like, they're like, all right, what are 10 things that we're all into? Organ trafficking, prostitution, drug trafficking, bum fights?
Bum fights.
Yeah, the thing is, like, for people that are so in tune with the quote unquote market, they don't understand that.
The demand is low for
Well,
organ trafficking and
but
bum
also,
fights.
but that when you create a market, it then creates an oppressive regime,
Right.
or it can. If you say that, hey, we're gonna allow organ trafficking, because let's say, you know what, I do want to sell a kidney, I need the money. When you create a market, by its very nature, you're gonna create a demand
Right.
and a black market.
Sure.
If I know that I'm sanctioning the sale of organs without the penalty of jail time,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? I'm gonna go steal kidneys.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go
Right.
steal them,
Right.
because if I know that I don't have to prove where I got it or any of that shit, I'm just gonna go fucking do urban legend shit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fucking drug dudes and get them in the bathtub full of
Right,
ice, and I'm
right.
taking their fucking kidneys.
But that's why it's kind of the ideology of the loner is that it is a bunch of people that have spent too much time alone and they're getting into weird
they
shit.
only think about things, not live them, and they don't realize that reality is a lot more complicated than your thought process.
Right, but they also have this thing too, which is I empathize with, which is it's a country that is based in a lot of puritanical judgment, and to a lot of people, they do seem like anarchists. They do seem like revolutionary, whatever. But the whole thing, I think, in my personal opinion, is that the whole thing is a smokescreen for just total capitalist abandon by powerful people to exploit people.
I think it's probably split down the middle.
I mean, on the top level, it's the same thing as the Tea Party, and the phrase they use is AstroTurf movement.
Yeah,
because
it's not grassroots.
It's not a grassroots movement. The Koch brothers paid people to storm Obama, like to get angry.
The guys disrupting the recount in Florida.
And that's a problem with capitalism.
Yeah, that's the free markets.
It's not even. It's because here, the markets and commerce existed before capitalism existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a distinction most people don't make. I'm not saying that I'm a fucking revolutionary, but
No.
Let's remember that markets and commerce existed before the idea of capitalism.
Yes, and also it was the first job was, I think, women to fuck, and the second one was men to kill. Mercenaries.
And money to lend.
Mercenaries.
And either way, somebody's getting fucked.
Right. Yeah.
But when there is an overwhelm, when somebody's got so much money that they can then influence other people, like doing astroturfing or whatever, that's a problem. Man.
Okay, so we still have a little bit of ways to go here. I mean, I'm halfway through my notes, but there's going to be plenty to talk about. So these Freetown Project people, they did do some homework. They looked through a lot of different places, and they found a place like Grafton. Larry Pendarvis has.
But they're right about prostitution.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a really stupid thing for the United States to like put it into. We can't even do back pages anymore because it just creates
Craigslist.
It just creates an economy of terrible people who are exploiting people. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so a guy like Larry Pendarvis, he talks to the Boston.com and he says, we want to get enough people here to build a movement. And they recognize Grafton as a place with few zoning laws, and Babiar's was there, and they said, okay, not a lot of people there. We can go there and we can build a movement. Grafton had an old mine, a church, a general store, a police department, volunteer fire department.
Half a church.
It had little else. Yeah, and even then the church wasn't really going on. So there's not much happening. There's one guy, Bob Hull, buys 237 acres. Someone else from New Jersey, according to Boston.com, bought like a bunch of acres just so they're like, we're buying all this land. Libertarians can move there and figure it out. This local author, Lisa Shaw, she finds this website, the Freetown Project website, and she goes, oh shit, they're coming here. You can go through the archive.org, and the Wayback Machine has the front pages of the forums, and you see a ton of Zach Bass posts. But when you click on them, you can't see what they're writing. But you see, in 2003, they're writing all these things, and they're like, we found our place. And Lisa Shaw sees this, and she mails everybody in town saying, look out, they're coming.
They're invading.
The libertarians are coming.
Yeah.
The libertarians are coming.
And one of the libertarian and she says, or someone says, that these people are showing up to, quote, cram freedom down our throats.
Whoa.
Which I think is like, it's a really good quote, but of course the libertarians heard that and said, oh,
you said it, neighbor.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
Right.
you're a libertarian and you're forcing things on people.
Right. Oh, they didn't get it.
You like it though.
Yeah.
Tastes good.
You'll learn
don't
to
it?
like it. Yeah, it's just why are you making me?
Which is the most American thing, right? Democracy at the point of a fucking gun.
Why are you making me take this town over? Yeah. And so
Why are you freedoming yourself?
Yeah. New Hampshire Public Radio has an interview with Zach Bass, and he says he wants to dismantle the public school system. Quote, not to force someone to pay to educate someone else's child. And it's like, that's okay. That's you just being a dick because you're not helping your place.
Yeah, you know what I want? A bunch of other kids who are dumb, other people's kids who are dumber than they are now.
Yeah. And so it starts
just fix the system.
It starts reaching the news, and like, I was living in 2004 was when I was graduating high school, I suppose. And so I was living in Massachusetts. I never heard about this, but it's on Boston.com. New Hampshire Public Radio was writing about it. So, it was reaching some level
Getting
of
out
news. There. And so they all moved to town, and
Did you say Boston Public Radio?
Well, I guess it would.
Public radio.
Boston.com, New Hampshire Public Radio.
Got New Hampshire Public. Got it.
And so then
We're getting rid of that.
all these people move into town, and the next town meeting is so large that they have to move it from the. I think they were doing it in an abandoned schoolhouse, and then they had to move it to I think the firehouse. The
abandoned firehouse that burned down.
Well, see, Babiars was the guy in charge of the firehouse because there was no one else. So it's a volunteer fire department, and he was the only one that was volunteering. And so he was the fire chief, basically.
Over here all night.
Yeah.
And it was the only place that was big. I like to imagine they just had an open field somewhere where they're like, this is the place now. But I think they moved there. And it was a very contentious meeting. And all the townspeople were like, fuck you. We don't want to do this. We moved here to get away from bullshit. And now you're bringing bullshit here. But
here come that bullshit.
And even after the meeting, the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire wrote a letter to this guy, Pendarvis, the child porn guy. And they wrote in the letter, they wrote, the people of Grafton are armed, dangerous, and extremely pissed at you. We will certainly not protect you.
Wow.
But meanwhile, this Freetown Project website has things that say, what is it? It's they have a section called Blood, Bath, and Beyond.
Nice.
Talking about like the city officials.
That's a cool album name, man.
Sick band. There actually is a band called Blood, Bath, and Beyond, which is dope.
I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're much more clever than these people.
They might have got it from that.
Maybe. Also at the same time, but these libertarians, they are right. They do have an idea, and they're right to have it. They say that the people showed up at the meeting. They're not right in this idea. They thought the people that showed up at the meeting were statists. That's their big thing of calling people who follow the government like statists. But they were right when they said the people who showed up at the meeting were the people who were motivated. The town has way more people who just don't want to deal with this, and they're the ones that will let us do what we want to do.
The apathetic.
Yeah.
There's people that don't like coming out.
Yeah.
Or answering the phone, for instance.
But even
and they are our allies.
Yeah. But even so, this movement is built. It's like getting enough attention that the governor of New Hampshire at the time goes to a barbecue at Babiars' place and even says, "Hey, come on up. We'd love to have you." To all these libertarians. So he feels like, well, I need to get these people on my side, so I'm going to be a fucking political shit and just encourage people to keep moving here. So they keep showing up, and every time they show up, they're always bringing guns. And they start posting videos of themselves confronting town officials and police officers, just being shits. They held an apple festival where kids dipped UN flags into a bonfire. And this is like, 2004, 2005, 2006 internet. And so they're filming these things and putting it on the internet, and it's like it's gaining some like stupid traction.
I hate the world.
Yeah. And they were gathering power.
United Nations.
Why do you even think about it? You shouldn't have any feelings about it.
Not only that, I mean, it's a thing where, I guess
you shouldn't have any you shouldn't feel that passionate about the UN.
No, you should have your feelings go in the much opposite way, where you go like, oh, this is a soft attempt at avoiding another global scale conflict after the Second World War. And
the first one.
And I'm grateful that it's there, even if it's not an effective measure.
It doesn't cede any sovereignty.
Yeah.
Because the U.S. still does whatever the fuck they want to do.
It's like being mad at the internet. It's like, here's a place where everybody can talk.
Hey, man, I don't like that the oceans just flow around.
Yeah.
The water from over there is just coming over here.
Thinking that there's...
not on my watch.
Tyranny coming from the UN is being like, do you know that they can't even, like, discuss times and agree on them?
They can't agree on time zones.
Yeah, if this is the new world order, it's going to take a long time to totally
Here's the good thing about bureaucracy. They can't get their shit together.
Yeah.
So the UN is not going to be invading anybody.
So did you
Is the Red Cross taking over? I'm sorry.
Did you watch any of the videos of those idiots storming the Capitol?
Oh yeah,
I watched them all.
And these guys get into the Senate chambers, right?
And then they rub shit on the walls.
And they go.
That's true.
No one's here. What should we do? And one guy goes, well, let's start a government. And you're like, let's start a government? You're just gonna you're gonna walk in here and go, well,
let's buy a zoo.
Let's start a government. Like,
let's get a party going.
No, you know what?
You have all these
let's
ideas.
Start a government.
Cover
government, like a cover band.
Oh yeah, we do sick government hits.
Yeah, we do all the best hits. Fucking voting rights. fucking roads.
Sure.
Yeah, but like we put
Roads.
Yeah. Well, we need roads.
Yeah.
We don't write our own shit.
Yeah.
We just play the hits.
We write it on the walls with our shit
Yeah.
because we're sick of
We're
it.
writing it on our own.
Walls.
So they were able to.
Hell yeah.
They were able to gather power, though.
Really?
Not the people of the Capitol.
No. The
No, they didn't.
libertarians that
They
showed
really
up.
actually didn't. They pretty gave it up pretty
Did
quick.
those two dudes draft a constitution? I think you're all right. I think you think I'm all right. Article 2.
Ink's dry.
So they showed up and they had enough people that
Styx is the best band. Article 3. Next.
all these people who showed up, they had enough power to vote in these town meetings, and because people wouldn't show up to these town meetings because they weren't a big deal. Everybody moved to this place to not have to deal with shit, and then these guys show up, and all of a sudden they're doing the thing that libertarians are supposed to not be doing, where they're making people have to deal with the government.
Civic
Right?
progress.
So they have these it's an annual town meeting, so it's only fucking once a year, and yet they're still
God.
Do libertarians get anti-participation trophies?
yeah.
They do.
Now, so
I don't want to take it. You're gonna make me take it?
At these meetings, they weren't able to withdraw Grafton from the regional school district or condemn the Communist Manifesto or eliminate funding for the public library, but they were successful in getting a measure passed to cut 30% out of the town's $1 million budget, as well as deny funding to the county's Senior Citizens Council.
Yikes.
And they failed to muster enough votes to abolish the town planning board, but they managed to put enough libertarians on it that they could cut its funding and not have it doing anything. So, but the you're like, oh, Senior Citizen Council, that doesn't need any money. I'm not old.
They lived through the golden years.
But also, these people who showed up, they weren't buying houses. There were the original people who showed up. Some of them would buy land. But after
I'm renting right now.
After them, the people that showed up were not buying houses or building houses or buying land or even attending meetings.
Squatting.
Most who showed up probably did so because they assumed they could live there really cheaply. They built this is from Hutzling or Hungolds. They built houses out of yurts and RVs, trailers and tents, geodesic domes and shipping containers.
Geodesic.
Yeah, just like
Just rent up apartment.
random shit they put together. Some lived alone in isolated structures buried in the weald. It's just it's a term, an English term for wild.
No.
WEALD.
Really? In the weald.
Others clustered in lots that function as permanent campgrounds with a rotating cast of
So they're
residents.
gypsies.
Yeah, basically.
These people are
But
gypsies.
but not.
But-
Travelers.
Right, but without the culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, they don't-
Some and how many people were like in pyramids or was it?
was there any, well, that's a great, that involves too much government, building a pyramid, way too much cooperation.
True.
And
Conspiracy.
but as all this is happening, the bears don't pay any attention. The bears
don't pay taxes either.
And the bears start showing up more and more. Two guys in a makeshift encampment had bears tearing through their garbage, and they're like, "I put cayenne pepper in it, and it fucked him up." And
my
then the
God.
other guy was like, "No, that was the raccoons." And this
no.
guy, the reporter,
Sorry, I went to public school.
the reporter Hongolds Hetling is like, he's sitting in a car with these two guys while they're having an argument about whether raccoons or bears tore through the trash, and one of them takes out like ammunition and throws it on the dash and be like, "Look at that, that's ammunition." And it's like, there's just two insane people arguing whether bears or raccoons tore through their trash.
And not only that, it's saying like
I don't need the oppression of your reality.
here's the deal. It doesn't matter if it's a gator or beaver
Right.
or bear. It's that you are disgusting and living outside and everybody can smell it and people are going to come eat your shit because you are a nasty fuck and you don't live in this town. Get the fuck out and go home to your fucking perfect little shithole, wherever that is.
There is none though. This is that.
But they didn't live, they didn't start there.
No, but where they started also wasn't home.
It's fine. It's probably their mom's basement,
Yeah,
which is home.
Or
home.
they had a really bad home
Yeah,
life.
where
They
it
lived in
benefits
the
from the power grid and a public sewer system, and zoning regulations, and
Everybody's- yeah, everybody's-
building codes.
right.
You know, so
They're
like
like
there's not exposed power lines by the septic tank.
They're taking those things for granted.
Exactly.
Not only that, they're foisting their political fantasies on a real group and town of people.
But with the luxury of having grown up in a place where there they have taken for granted society, like civilization.
Right.
And
assuming it just
I'm a
happens.
huge critic of civilization.
Oh yeah, you hate civilization.
But I think what we're getting into, a lot of this libertarian idea of living is based on the assumption that plumbing and electrical grids and roads just happen naturally.
Yeah, like here's the thing. I can't believe they still work. I cannot believe it works.
Oh yeah.
I cannot believe.
You ever have like your sink back up and you're like,
what the fuck do I do?
What do I do now? Where do I go?
Everyone talks about how dysfunctional shit is, and it is. But I cannot. The power stays on, and people aren't dying by the millions. Shit is not overflowing through the streets on a daily basis. People are not dying of dysentery because their wastewater is getting into the tap.
Yeah.
Shit is not constantly on fire.
Yeah.
And there is gas flowing through every house.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that it works.
Oh, yeah, it's
I am
amazing.
incredibly grateful.
Yes, of course.
And these people are taking it for granted.
They're taking it for granted. Yes.
Just go to Africa.
Not only
If you want to be fucking roamers and gypsies, go to a place where you can just go roam.
Well, they can go. There's plenty of places in the United States. They go to the fucking desert in the United States.
but that's
Just-
public land.
But not only that, I mean,
That's my land. And it's your land.
in my opinion, the perfect, analysis of it where you go like, oh yeah, that just totally doesn't fucking work. It's total fucking fantasy bullshit is when it's Pinochet in Chile. Pinochet puts all that shit through. Everything gets privatized. Everything is manipulated. All the rich people are getting, and then he goes just like, oh, it just doesn't fucking work. And then as dictator, he takes away all of the totally free market shit because he's just like, oh, I'll be overthrown and assassinated. He immediately gets rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was totally School of Chicago. Everybody was going there.
Right. That was their training ground for all of their ideas.
Before the coup.
That's right.
Every economist in the soon-to-be
School,
the Chicago School under Friedman. And it was just immediately he was like, "Oh, everything's a fucking wreck." He's like, "How are you going to charge this much for electric and utilities?" And you're like, "Oh, it's a free market." And you go like,
There's nothing free.
but we'll be murdered.
Freedom isn't free, baby.
It's only free until you have a gun in your face.
Yeah.
And then it changes. And people go like, well, that's the free market. And you're like,
Or
Bullets cost less than gigawatts, man.
nah.
instead of a gun, maybe you have a bear.
And what if the bears have guns? And what if they're on cocaine?
And what if it's their right to bear
Arms. And it's my right to arm bears.
So around this time,
Just like interpretation of the Second Amendment.
you nailed it though. That's the essence of it.
Isn't that right?
So around this time, late 2000s, this local man named Dave Turber, in the dead of winter, middle of winter, he hears this noise, middle of the night. He opens up his shades and he sees a bear running across his property, tear down his bird feeder, go to town on it.
Nice.
And then as a car is driving
Fucks
by, he notices that the bear sees the headlights and lies flat on the ground until the car passes. And then gets back up, finishes the bird seed, and runs back into the woods.
Bears become self-aware.
Bears
Are aware of laws.
Another townsperson, he's going for a walk. He notices a bear. The bear's 50 feet away. He only notices the bear because he hears the bear snort. And he turns around, he sees a bear just watching him.
The bear is snorting a gator tail.
Yeah. One resident, Diane Barrington, she's the one.
Barrington. Convenient.
It's Burrington.
Yeah.
Her family, a long history in the town. In fact, they sold the schoolhouse that Babiar's, two Babiars that he lives in. She has to put an electric fence around her property because she has sheep. She's a sheep farmer. Has to put an electric fence around her property. She used to, when sheep would die, she digs a hole. She has to use a tractor to dig a hole into the ground deep enough for the bears.
Ground.
And in the winter, when the ground is frozen, she has to take them to a cliff and dump them off a cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff are just a ton of bears waiting for
No, beach bears.
yeah, beach bears. And a lot of people in town are trying to do their best to the bears this isn't good. But there's also this one lady in town called the Donut Lady. Never gives her real name.
Does she sell bear claws?
She feeds the bears
No. Donuts?
donuts and grain.
And not bear
And grain?
Yeah,
Donuts and grain?
donuts and grain.
She give them any Coke?
Because libertarians, some of them are get rid of some of them are like, I have a right to kill a bear, so I have a right. But she's not.
Why can't bears have coat?
She was in the town before the libertarians showed up, but part of the reason she lives there is because it's
She shares a live free or die sort of philosophy.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
And so we'll get back to her in a second. But this whole, as all of the libertarians are coming in and fucking up with the basic necessities of this town, the bears are also learning to live around cities. And there's a National Geographic article from 2003.
I can't believe this is this late.
2003. National Geographic says black bears adapting to city living. Study
You can't
says.
believe what's this late.
That this whole thing happens in the 2000s.
I mean, I think it's a conflagration of different things happening at the same time.
That means
No,
a fire.
it's amazing, and the thing is that these peaceful hamlets are the exact type of place where they would want to have an experiment go right, because it seems like, oh well, the general ease of the people and the like it's such a romanticized part of America, like it's just like, oh, everybody up here is still very kind.
But it's also this like selection era where it's also selecting for the most extreme versions of these people. Where it's like, especially if in your fucking website, it's like, yeah, cannibalism, pedophilia, fucking, it's all cool, man.
Right.
Well, who are you going to attract?
right.
It's selecting for the people that will move across the country for a libertarian utopia, as opposed to like a steady drawdown of overreaching government.
Yeah.
It's like, here's fucking, I mean, Vegas is like is kind of an example.
It is, yeah. It appeals to that
the extremes on every side.
right, the cowboy side of America that wants everything to be, anything goes.
Right.
But also, yeah, I think everybody is fine without bum fights.
So
Yeah, well, that's like victimless crime of bum fights. No, man, fucking the system has created the victim.
Yeah.
And you are then capitalizing on that victimhood.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch.
You're further victimizing the victim.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch someone.
I'm paying him. Yeah, but he is a fucking the orders of magnitude more oppressed than you, and you are then just like piling on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bum fights.
So
Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
So this touches on a thing.
Dude, that is sick shit. And even when that shit was out, I'm sorry, that was like, dude, I watched Bang Bus and I was cool with it. Bum fights, fuck me up.
Wait.
No dice on bum fights, bro.
I know.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
No, it was really bad, and I need you to take a stand on it. That's what I need.
I'm fucking drawing a line in the sand.
Bang bus good, bum fight's bad.
Hell yeah.
At least at Bang Bus, they fucking they had to hire the women,
Yes, and
They're having fun.
and they're usually porn stars.
Yeah. Nobody was pretending to be a bum to get in a fight for $20.
Yeah.
No, they did not. No.
So what you're touching on is a thing that I was going to bring up later, but I'll touch on it now.
Capitalism undervalues labor and capitalizes on the disparity between the profit generated and the price paid.
So it touches on a thing that there's a 2019 Baylor University study that reports that public spending is
Baylor. Now they're the Golden Bears.
No, I don't know what they are. They had a problem history when Ken
Baylor's
Starr was in
Bears.
charge of them. But the Baylor University study that reports that public spending is associated with happiness. Now, it doesn't say it causes happiness, but it says public spending is associated with happiness because public spending helps create businesses, stores, and buses and art, and people with those things are happier than people without stores and buses and art. And so it's an association. It's not a cause,
right?
But as Hunglot's
very interesting.
Hetling knows it, as he writes in the book, he says, if that's true, it would suggest that Grafton's miserly approach to public spending didn't necessarily cause unhappiness among its residents. Rather, the low tax rate may have been a predictable outcome for a town that had, over the years, become a haven for miserable people.
Yes. Yes, it's a thing of
which we're talking about. It attracts a certain type of person
who is miserable,
right? Yeah,
and miserable to deal with, and be around,
right? And it's a thing. It's a bad attack in the way of. I think we've said before. It's the guy going like, I don't have kids. Why don't I pay for schools? And
exactly.
It's like, so they don't break your windows.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then if
How
they
selfish
do,
are you?
If they do, you're like, well, that's not right. They should be, and then you want government help.
Yeah. I gotta call the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why should I pay for the cops to come deal with your fucking problem?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
because you didn't pay
When
for
I could just shoot you myself.
because you didn't pay for my kids to go to school.
Yeah.
And learn not to be, ashen, faced, degenerate.
Street urchins.
Yeah.
So
It's immoral.
No, I mean, they're
impossible.
fucking dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, also, which is you're right. In Grafton, you could fuck a dog.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about bestiality?
they didn't, but you have to assume.
I think it's implied.
What do you assume?
You know what I assume.
What, that the bears were getting it on with bear fits?
Well, that guy sprayed fucking bear pussy juice all over his face and ran to the woods. I'm pretty sure he knew what he was getting into.
I'll never hold elected office.
Worth it. Totally worth it.
Holy shit! This is a summer I'll never forget.
You have not lived
Why does he
until
talk
the
like
bears are hung like you, man.
I'll never forget. Summer of '99, I got a bear fit right into me. Created a vent, much like a chicken. I don't know where.
Now I've got a cloaca. I guess it's no longer bestiality.
Yeah.
If I'm
This is a colloquialism.
colloquialism. Very good. I don't think I would ever have expected you to say colloquialism, period.
Colloquialism is a colloquialism.
Well, even a broken cloaca is right twice a day. Is that in your fucking book of quotes?
No.
Bartlett's fucking quotations?
It is now.
So what's happening? I have to jump back a little bit just to get back on this track. In 2003, this is before people start moving there. The National Geographic noted that cities were making the bears that lived around the cities
Urban bears.
Into
urban
city
bears.
bears.
It was fucking up the bears.
It was making the brown bears,
No, black bears too.
black bears too.
Yeah.
Well,
Any animal what happens?
they learn to adapt to their environment.
And so what they start doing instead of hunting, it's
a semi-domestication.
it's a lot harder. It takes way more energy for a bear or a coyote or anything to spend all day foraging for food. They actually use way less energy
Eating
dumpster diving.
yeah, exactly. Eating
But
out of your trash.
also what happens when they dumpster dive, it fucks up their sleep schedule.
Yeah.
No way.
They start
and their guts.
they start becoming human. They have fucked up sleep schedules. They fucks up
They
with their
operate
brain.
on a human schedule.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or whatever the schedule of the city is.
Yeah.
If they realize the trash comes on Wednesdays, well, Wednesday night is when they go foraging.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Mitchell in the Nat Geo article says bears are extremely efficient foragers, intelligent, resourceful, and adaptable. If they figure out a good food resource, that's what they're going to use.
Why am I going to spend fucking 16 hours at the stream trying to catch a slippery salmon?
Right, when
Am
I
I
can
going
just
to go
eat
to
a
the
hamburger.
campsite and eat this kid?
Yeah.
I love
It's
this
Lunchables.
slippery salmon though. So are you saying that they know when the fucking trash truck is going to come?
They'll fucking learn.
Well, so what happens with the donut lady is...
They can smell it too.
What happens with the donut lady is one day she...
The light goes on. It says hot donuts without the Krispy Kreme.
She comes home one day from something and she sees a mother bear and cubs in her backyard and they're sad and she's like, oh, they're hungry. So she brings them some food. And then this escalates to
They're showing up.
dozens of bears fighting, pushing each other, waiting. And so she starts buying grain and she starts feeding them in breakfast and dinner. And the bears, they don't she says she falls down all the time in winter and they don't attack her. They shove each other out of the way to get in line to eat the grain.
And this is how wolves were domesticated into dogs.
Right.
What do you mean? The hand that feeds.
Yes, and it selects for the.
I like when he looks at me in this way where he goes, how can you ask me such a stupid question?
Well,
explain what it is. It's a fucking audio program. You look
Oh, then they can't see how dumb I'm looking at you.
No, but you just look at me in a way.
I'm surprised that you're shocked.
I'm not shocked.
Oh, okay. You're just curious.
Yes, I'm saying, tell me. It's very interesting.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm. Yes,
Mrs. Donut falling down with grain all around her, not getting mauled by
yes,
bears.
it is not
and and you're going, it's just like the wolves.
It's just like Paul. Actually, it's just like Paul.
They smell like Paul.
And now they're Shih Tzus. Like, what are you doing?
Because if you're the wild is hard.
It's difficult.
Right? And if there is a less energy intensive way to get calories,
yes,
the animal will take it. People fucking take it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then
Are you talking about the takers?
and the fakers and the matchstick makers and the fucking butchers, the bakers, the candlestick
Take a soldier spy.
and the fake.
Take your taters.
But then it will then select for the animals that will then even kind of put up with that.
And so they did a genetic study
shit.
they did a genetic study of bears in that area, and they found that they were more genetically isolated than other bears. And so what happens over time, that breeds basically a even more fucked up version, because as a group is isolated and as they keep reproducing without any other genetic material, they start becoming so isolated that
Explain genetic isolation.
Well, what happens is in a libertarian society, incest is okay.
And after a while, now you have a king who's a fucking idiot because it's his,
Wait. How does genetic isolation happen in this specific thing? Because I don't understand, and I think it's very interesting to say that they kind of get spoiled.
So think about this: the second generation. So there's a mother bear who lives off of cheeseburgers in a dumpster. Her cubs also live off those cheeseburgers, and so it physically isolates them, but also genetically. After a while, they do not have the same genes of bears in, let's say, roaming through Canada. All over Canada, where there's this mix of bears from the west who mate with bears in the central, who mate with bears in the east.
Because they're like a sad, garbage-fed bear.
Yeah.
And they have no reason to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
So anytime
they're not adapting anymore, other than in
there's
this
nothing
very
to adapt. Well,
it's this very
they're
negative.
adapting to human.
It's
presence.
a negative adaptation, basically, because they're actually removing options that they could have.
Right. We're actually not getting grizzly.
Yes, exactly.
It is the domestication.
It's the lack of grizzle.
It is the beginning of domestication.
But
and eventually you will have tiny, fluffy, retard bitch versions of bears. If this can
bitch?
Yeah, bitch
I
bears.
can't say. No, you can't say that on this program.
What do you
really
want me to
upsets
say?
me.
The F word? Can I say the F word?
Whole bears? Whole bears?
But what happens is they stop hibernating too, because there's no
reason
there's
to.
no reason to hibernate.
Because there's food year round.
If you can eat all year round, you don't need to hibernate.
I don't sleep.
Exactly. And so what happens is they stop hibernating. They start killing
They're up all night.
They start killing pets in town, and they start stalking townspeople.
Wow.
And the libertarians, well, that has nothing to do with them. They're still like, they all have their own separate.
Fuck it, I don't have pets.
Stupid
I don't
cities.
care.
And so they're just.
I guess a bear lives in my neighbor's house. Who
My
cares?
bear's my pet.
They're just focused on destroying government.
I mean, I wave to him.
Can I feed the bear government?
So
Jeez.
so
They're by the river.
after a while, all the street lights in town don't work anymore.
No.
All of the dirt roads aren't being graded anymore. And so grading a dirt road is when you when you cut the dirt road to make it drivable again.
Yeah.
You fill in the potholes. You basically make a flat surface again.
Yeah, you make it so the water drains in a uniform direction. It doesn't make potholes or flood.
It's all cut up. Not like the one, but the two.
Yeah, the town stops paying for Christmas lights and 4th of July fireworks.
No. Oh, we don't.
All of the paved roads fall. Even the municipal buildings start falling apart. There's no money to pay for repairs. So exposed wires are not fixed. Leaky ceilings stay leaky. And as the water runs through these buildings and expands all of these joints, and ants and termites start crawling in, and all of these things start falling apart.
And they love it.
Yeah, the municipal buildings. One of the municipal buildings in town.
It looks like communist Russia. No, it looks like libertarian fucking grafted.
One of the municipal buildings, their hot water heater broke, and they didn't have any money to fix it, so they had to wash their hands in freezing cold winter water.
Why didn't anybody just volunteer to fix it?
And so somehow through all of this idea of this Ayn Rand miracle of the market and free markets,
Oh, yeah.
no private investment showed up to fix all of this.
Because it's not profitable.
And the city is, it turns out it's not a city of do-gooders after all this. Recycling rates dropped from 60 to 40%. Sex offender registrations went from 8 in 2006 to 22 in 2010.
They actually registered? That's very
Well, they probably had to.
Can't believe they
probably
registered.
had to.
You think they had to?
What, at the point of a gun from
Well,
an
'cause they probably-
oppressive government?
They probably did something, and then it's like now you have to be on this.
Somebody
2000
registered for them.
In 2006, 3 men were arrested for making meth. In 2011, the town had its first murder in living memory. A roommate is accused of 2 other roommates of being a freeloader, so he shoots them. One of them he shoots like 14 times.
No way.
In 2013, police shoot and kill an armed robber.
Oh my God.
Police calls went up by over 200 a year. While
Police answers went down.
While at the same time, they voted against money for a new cruiser, while at the same time, the roads were dilapidating, and the police spent more time waiting for their cruiser to get repaired than actually doing police work.
Oh, my God.
And meanwhile, this is the same place.
Full of clay. They get all those holes.
This
Can just be clayed
This
over.
is the same place that in the 30s, they could have paid $150 to build a police station. Instead, they voted it down, and cops for 80 years had to keep evidence in their houses.
No. And that's even coke.
And I hate cops.
Yeah, I know. That's the fucking thing.
I hate them. But come on.
The funny thing about
Here's the thing. Give them a station. You know where they're at.
my evidence.
Hire the donut lady. She'll feed them.
Yeah.
Funny thing about my evidence cabinet is also my medicine cabinet.
If you know what I'm saying.
And I get mixed up all the time.
This is where I keep my pet gator tails.
I call it evidence. Now, I'm going to compare this. Hongo Zetling does a very good job.
Oh, you're going to Socialist Utopia?
So we're going to compare this to a nearby town called Canaan.
Canaan. Now that's a biblical name.
Canaan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The Canaanites.
And
Come on, John. You're Catholic.
these two
Were they
towns,
into kinky shit?
Well, I mean, back then there was.
Yeah, the Canaanites.
brother fucking.
Back then there was no government.
We follow the dog god. It's God backwards. It's the dog.
Canaanites.
We're the Canaanites.
Well, I like Canine Nights.
Oh, yeah. We're the Knights of Canine.
It's a 3-dog night, if you know what I'm saying.
So,
And that feels good.
And Jeremiah was a bullfrog, and he was a good friend of mine.
That's right.
so before we get into the eventual like
You're talking about the eruption of the
culmination
penis of the 3-dog night.
yes, exactly. The
Hot dog in a microwave type of situation.
That's what he said, man.
I want to do I'm going to follow Hongo Tetling's comparison of these two towns. And they're not even that far apart physically or even really governmentally. You know, they're not that far
In
apart. They're still in
statistics,
New Hampshire, right?
same
Still in
kind of
America.
Same kind of population.
So
Same kind of white people.
Well, you'll see what happens to the population. 1856, Grafton, when they're splitting up their church, right? The town population is 1,200 people. Nearby Canaan is 1,600 people.
What year is that?
1856.
Okay.
So Canaan takes their tax money and they put it into infrastructure. Now, of course, both towns had a loss of population because after the Civil War, people started going west.
And dying.
But in 1881, this is the type of thinking Grafton's doing. Canaan takes their tax money and they put it into infrastructure. 1881, Grafton says, hey, we have a budget surplus, so next year, no taxes. It votes against the fire department and against $150 to build the police station. Police have to store evidence in their houses, blah, blah, blah. Grafton also doesn't have fire hydrants. The Civilian Conservation Corps, I believe it's under FDR, they built firefighting retention ponds at like strategic places, and then the town neglects them and they just fill in with dirt.
Wow.
Now, did you say the corpse?
Corpse. There's a core, I guess.
It is core.
Because if it's a corpse, it's a dead body.
In a pond.
Yeah.
And that you can put out fires with.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I'm a reanimated firefighter.
Yeah. Well, and they don't take. You don't have to pay a corpse
That's
At
true.
all.
Well, physically, spiritually.
I mean, legally,
unless you got a necromancer, and then you got to pay him.
unless you live in one of them libertarian states.
Am I right?
But also, so by neglecting their water retention ponds for firefighting, who has to fight the fires in this town when these libertarians don't want to
Bears.
or can't?
The communists.
The other towns.
Yeah.
No way.
The other
Because
towns
it'll spread.
have to come into. So you're like, I'm a libertarian. It's like you're still affecting.
You got to pass the buck.
You are a freeloader.
You
actually-
are that which you hate.
Yes.
So after 150 years of these two towns that are very similar, after 150 years of Canaan putting money into infrastructure and Grafton doing nothing with it, After 150 years, around 2010 or so, Grafton's population is 1,340 people. Canaan's 3,909 people. Grafton has one general store, a church, and a derelict mine that is their, quote, tourist attraction. Canaan has elementary school, multiple churches, restaurants, banks, a gift shop, 2 bakeries, metalsmithing, meeting halls, convenience stores, farms, an art community.
A robust free market?
A vet, dozens of small businesses. Meanwhile, Grafton has lower taxes. Had lower taxes they were paying for other shit. Grafton still had to pay for shit.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the lower taxes.
You got to pay for the dirt at that point.
Well, so in 2004, they spent $275 in legal expenses. But after these libertarians showed up and started suing the town for all kinds of shit, they had to pay $9,000 in legal expenses.
Right.
Grafton is also legally required by, like, every town and city in New Hampshire, legally required to provide public assistance.
Right.
Before the free town people showed up, they paid $10,000 a year. By 2010, they were paying $40,000 a year.
All the freeloaders showed up.
They're fucking yurts and shit,
Yeah.
man.
And even though taxes are lower in Grafton than Canaan, they're not actually that much lower because Canaan has a larger population. They can keep their rate low by spreading it out amongst the larger population.
Right.
So their tax rate, Grafton's tax rate for $1,000 is $4.50. In Canaan, it's $6.20.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's an actual fucking society
Yes.
going on. Like, that's the thing. And it's kind of like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It just... If you just get it out of the way to begin with, everything is so much better in the long run.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a thing, too.
Build roads. They'll pay for themselves.
Right. And in the case of, you know...
I don't know, man. I don't want to fuck... Well, down the road...
Yeah. But also, it's the thing
Down the road.
of, you know, the thing I love bringing up because it's a Republican state. And they're also kind of, you know, like I always say, the more kind of really authentic Christians is the Mormons in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And John Huntsman is like fucking putting all the homeless people into all the foreclosed houses.
John Huntsman's a very smart guy.
When that happened in 2008.
Right.
But it was also because Mormons were holding him over the coals being like, we actually believe in saying like what Christ would do.
Right.
Like he's like, this is wrong. It's cold here. Right. Get these people in some fucking houses. As soon as that happens, you have like a quarter of the homeless population that totally turns around, rehabilitates, and gets their shit together. And now what is that?
A workforce. And taxpayers.
And consumers.
Yes.
They are now...
Paying taxes, sales
and
taxes.
They want shit.
Yeah.
It's a thing, like you're saying, like it is a thing that...
Yeah,
it's going to grow.
I mean, you can say, like, sure, half of homeless people are fucking unhelpable, whatever the number is, right?
But even that, if it's
right?
20...
Whatever it is, that's
even if it's 25%.
It's still worth it.
Yes.
It's still worth it to turn the down on their luck, the downtrodden,
right,
around.
Because the expansion...
And then the streets are cleaner.
Yeah.
And there's no fucking heroin needles on the ground.
What Warren Buffett is always saying. He's like, we are the mega rich. We're always going to get richer. He's like, we will not, if we always take shortcuts to fuck everybody else and stop us, you know, and stop them from growing with us. Mm-hmm. He's the only one that's really always been saying that.
Well, it's this.
I mean, I think there are people that are, as there are more billionaires, there will be a few that kind of say that.
But it is very...
But he's been saying it for a long time.
It's very common sense. And he's just going like, yeah, you know what happens when
here's the thing about those uber rich, they don't want any sense to be common. It's theirs. And the dollars.
Yeah, but like even like on like an imperial Darth Vader level, just be like, oh yeah, give like the middle class some money and it will all trickle up to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you expand the economy, that's more money that trickles up to us.
Yes.
Reparations, etc. It's the whole thing where you go like, it's all going to end up in the hands of a few mega wealthy people.
That's the case of against reparations.
Right. But you know, it's just a thing of like, you know,
if you want to stimulate the economy, give poor people money.
A couple of actual like trickles of you know, shit for the lower poor and middle classes, not just the middle class, but the poor classes, will end up coming back tenfold to the mega wealthy.
Yes, and it keeps them from eating you.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
No, it's this short-term quarterly profit thing where.
But it's also it's like
no conception
sicking
of,
the mob against yourself.
But it's no idea of you would always make more money looking long term.
It's being hyper insulated and
it's like
detached
I
from
can always
reality.
build a bigger wall
Yeah.
behind their own wall.
Let's take a very short break and come back.
Come back and wrap this up.
We'll wrap this up.
Okay. And we're back.
Hey.
Now we're talking about a new way of living, Matt, that you're proposing to all
way?
of us.
What?
New way. And you're saying that we can do whatever we want, cannibalism, bum fights.
You could fuck a bear and then eat it. Even if it's your brother.
Preferably.
You gotta fuck the bear before the bear fucks you.
It's just like Paul.
So just quickly go through two of the
Most harrowing episodes in Bearville.
it was just there's two of the encampments that were built.
Shanty towns?
Kind of, yeah. 2009, a guy named Mike Barksey arrives in Grafton from California, and he's the type of guy who carries 3 recording devices on him at all times.
Oh, yeah.
Which
A tricorder.
Star Trek. For him, it probably I don't know. Maybe it feels like, well, I just want to make sure I get this thing right.
He's
but it's
a
also like,
paranoid schizophrenic.
the fact that you feel like you have to record situations all the time is not a good sign.
I'm not sure I'm actually here.
It's like I get in fights all the time. I need to prove who did what. It's like
how do I know that this recording is not a projection of, and then this recording could also be an illusion. So I'll
Right.
play you the recording of the recording.
For some reason, this one's in French. I don't know what happened.
This one was deep faked.
I got real deep faked the other day. He wants to build a thing called Grafton Gulch, which is like a libertarian trading zone. So there's this incident that happens. He clears some brush from this like acreage, and he clears the brush and he lights a fire with it. And the game warden is like, it seems like that's not the legal way to do it. The game warden tells the police chief,
Who's also him.
the police chief comes
Talks
by.
to himself.
The police chief comes by and Barksey starts giving him shit, and he gives him shit in that way where he is egging him on.
Oh God!
He's egging him on in a way where it's like he has these arguments with people all the time where he eggs them on, and he's like, "No, you're the crazy one."
Barks. Oh, he's gaslighting them.
Yeah,
You set the forest on fire.
right. No, he's like, it's just like, "Oh, you asked me not to do that. I didn't ask you not to do that. I said don't do it." And you're like, "Okay, great." And now we're quibbling about. You just always
Everyone's
looking
an
for
asshole.
argument.
No one's benefiting.
Right.
Got it.
So anyway, so he doesn't put the fire out, and so they call Babiars, who's the only guy running the fucking fire department. He comes over and he's like, and then Babiars is this guy who the tough thing
Sliding down the pole and everything.
the tough thing about being like, he seems like a guy who has like a decent idea of being a libertarian. His whole thing is don't make other people have to deal with your shit.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is also like, he's like, fires are bad. Do not let fires get out of hand. They're really bad.
For everybody.
And he has this sense of like responsibility to, and so he shows up there and he's like, well, this fire isn't
Fire bad.
a legal fire, and it shouldn't be happening. And
Let's hold a vote. Fire good or bad?
yeah, and he puts it out.
I don't want to vote. Voting bad. My vote.
He puts the fire out, and Babiars is recording the whole thing, and he's like, of course, he edits it later.
I didn't ask you to vote to record me.
And
It's okay, baby ears. I already got 3 devices recording.
yeah, and he puts the video online, and Babiars gets all kinds of shit in libertarian forums, and the next time he runs for governor, he gets less votes.
Oh, he gets primaried?
Yeah, basically by this fucking fire starter.
That's so fucking dumb.
Anyway, so in 2011, Barksey eventually finishes Grafton Gulch, this like shipping container with like shit on it.
Red hot chili pepper lights.
Are you
And
talking about one shipping container?
it was a shipping container like next to like some concrete building with like wood.
It's
on it.
like New Genosha in X-Men
Oh, that sounds hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, except if it was one shipping container
Yeah.
with
And-
some.
So it's basically human Trafficville.
Yeah, and as Hans Gottshetling writes, like neighborhood disputes that the cops had to go to quadrupled when these guys started showing. Not just this Barksey guy, but when all of these libertarians started showing up, neighborhood disputes quadrupled in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, you're libertarian, but you think I'm fucking with you, so now you're going to be a fucking dick or some shit.
Who are you? I mean, what happened to the fucking think for yourself?
It's you. Yeah, because you launched fucking.
What happened to this pro-dual mindset?
Right. You
Go dual.
You can't just start a fire in the middle of like your fucking place and just expect everybody to accept it.
You can't start a fire without a spark, and you can't launch
and you fire rises,
and you can't launch Bradfia without expecting a lot of bratty shit to go down that demands public attention.
Right.
Including the mayor, who is also the fire chief, who's also the lone hosman.
And this gun's for hire.
He wasn't the mayor. It's a town that's run by a 3-person select board.
Oh, a triumvirate.
Yeah. But anyway, so he puts out the fire, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, in 2011, Grafton Gulch is finally like realized.
Yeah.
And it's this like cook space where it serves burritos and burgers and ice cream. And then a couple months later, the Health and Human Services woman shows up and she's like, how do you make sure this isn't poisoning people? And then a month later, it closed down.
Oh, God.
And that was the end of that. It turns out you can't really have... you can have a libertarian grill, but it's called a house and invite people to it.
Or the LA version. The LA does it great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know more people that got food poisoning from their own cooking or restaurants than taco stands.
Yeah, or the hot dog sausage stands.
You can, because here's the thing. Kitchen's out in the open. I see how it's made.
Exactly.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Watch it.
It's right there. I don't know what's going on at fucking Château Louis or whatever. I don't know.
Château Louis.
Yeah, Château.
But also because of the way restaurants are run, everybody who is working in the kitchen is addicted to some insane drugs.
Dude, it's fucking amazing, right?
Oh, yeah, and the rats are running it with the bears.
Yeah, and according to the documentary Ratatouille, the rat is calling the fucking show.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's pulling the strings up here. In that, in that Pixar documentary, Ratatouille.
You know, I started eating garbage.
I started burning trash. And I'm cooking my food over it. Which is garbage.
For fine cuisine.
So the other place in town that was kind of built up through the libertarians was a place called Tent City.
Now that sounds hot.
Yeah, it's not like Circuit City.
That's not or Speaker City.
Speaker City.
I got 3 Speaker Cities. I got 110 grand that the government knows about.
I can barely read. True. Now, the girls in Tent City, they want a warm bed, I hear.
Or cot.
Also, as
they're real cot sluts.
As noted in the book, all of these libertarians moving in did not help the ratio of men to women in this.
No shit.
No,
yeah,
you're kidding me.
Who would have guessed?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, who would have guessed?
Well, that's because women are freeloaders in their mind.
Yeah, I mean,
or women understand that they're like, I'm safer in a community.
Yeah, things are a lot more complicated than you give it credit for. Teamwork matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that if you believe in gender, which I absolutely do not.
I don't.
No,
I don't. Gender's gay. Gender's gay.
We have to talk about it, even if we don't believe it.
Gender is gay.
Right.
And it is wrong. And it's an affront. And
it's gay. It's gay. It's an obscenity. It's an obscenity.
I think it's fascism.
You're not saying that gay is wrong.
No.
Now that feels good.
That's the thing.
But
I just want to say
gay is fine.
Because gender.
Because there is no gender, we're all gay.
Exactly.
Actually,
everything is gay, and nothing is straight.
Straight is wrong.
Straight is wrong. But I would say that the alleged female construct of gender is much more into the it takes a village to raise a child thing. And
because they've raised children. Unlike all of these fucking libertarians again.
I mean, yes, I've been around like mothers that have seen like somebody check their kid and just be like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're just like, I can't do it all the time because then it seems like I am just like the harping. You know, it's like you need somebody from an outside perspective to go like, oh, I am wrong, or like I thought my mom was just.
I thought my mom was just a nagging bitch.
Exactly,
she is.
Right, but I do not like that word at all. And
nagging or bitch?
Bitch, it hurts my feelings, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it
really upsets me.
It's not a. Yeah, it doesn't really. It
really upsets me, except when I'm being a bitch, which is hot.
Oh, I love when you're like a sassy bitch.
Oh yeah, when I'm a sassy, fertile young slut. What?
Fecund.
I'm ass fertile, baby.
Ass fertile?
I'm ass fertile.
That
you know I got a hungry asshole.
That hurts my feelings.
It should.
Ass fertile?
I'm ass fertile.
Ass fertile?
I'm trying you to get...
Ass fertile is my bitch.
I want you to insist.
Don't ever say that.
I want you...
Ass fertile?
I'm ass fertile. And it's not wrong, and it's right.
I'm fertile as fuck.
I want you to insert a turd that goes upwards from my ass to my mouth.
Dude, that's the most offensive.
This is new shit.
It's new shit.
Man, I'm on Pornhub. I know what's up. Are you talking about ass fertility?
Oh God!
And reverse turds aren't a thing.
Reverse turds?
Reverse turds?
Is that being a libertarian?
It is. I'm a lib turd.
I'm trying to liberate. I'm trying to liberate your turds from your ass.
I'm trying to reverse it.
Free the turds.
I'm trying to flip the script.
All right, new T-shirt.
And that's what's got me tripped out.
New T-shirt is free the turds.
Proud member of the Libtardarian Party.
Yeah.
We're the shit.
God.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bitch.
Tent City is a mess. I just
It's
say
a
that.
mess?
It
It's
probably
not good.
smells like shit. It's all dudes
Yeah.
who are
No, the guy who
out.
started it, his daughter lives there with her boyfriend or something.
Tent City.
It's a collection of tents, lawn chairs, barbecue grills, plastic containers,
Oh, no, that
tarps.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
you know what it is? It's
Tarps.
the fucking refugee camp outside Miracle, Texas in season 2 of The Leftovers.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
hot.
Yeah.
Fucking Swedish guys on ecstasy trying to fucking sell you season passes.
Dude, let me tell you, if there's tarps, I'm so far away.
Yeah.
Tarps, nothing good is coming out of tarps.
Slatted lounge chairs that give you fucking heat burns from the sun. Out. Card tables out.
They had a TV and electric cooking range powered by a gas generator.
Hey.
The guy who started it, his car ran off of grease.
No.
He would collect grease and keep it in 5-gallon containers.
All right.
And then one morning he goes out and he finds that the bears showed up and took all of his grease containers out to the woods and drank them all.
And then you could light the bears on fire as like a Duraflame.
Yeah, and I think it was noted that it was like, yeah, the bears were pretty quiet for a few days after all that grease.
Yeah, they were in a fucking coma. They learned to hibernate again.
But the bears would go, like the bears recognize this place and they would just like hang. They would be like, oh, people, okay, I'll just wait for the person. But as
Remember when we went on that grease bender?
That was
crazy. Nuts.
they would just go, show up, go through the trash when the trash would be like blocked off in a way. They would figure out how to go through it. But also, Untitled has this. He points out that the donut lady had this way of talking to the bears, right? And she would bring out the grain and she would say, "Get back, stay away,
Fuck off."
And after she says those things, the grain goes out. So when someone else in town is saying, "Get back, go away," maybe these same bears are going, "Well, after I hear that, there's food, so I'll just stand here and wait for them."
Back, motherfucker.
Right. And so all of a sudden, the traditional ways of scaring these bears weren't working anymore because someone else was
because they weren't working together to domesticate the bears.
Right.
Right.
And so as Hongo's Hetling wrote,
I'm the bear whisperer. I'm sorry, guys.
On a societal level.
On a society, yeah.
And so
I create bear policy.
What he writes is, he writes, quote, "It turns out," actually, hold on. So he writes, quote, "It turns out that if you have a bunch of people living in the woods in non-traditional living situations, each of which is managing food in their own way and their waste streams in their own way, then you're essentially teaching the bears in the region that every human habitation is like a puzzle that has to be solved in order to unlock the caloric payload."
Oh, I love a caloric payload.
And so each house, each settlement is the bears go, okay, what do I have to do to get to the calories? Okay, I got to do this.
And then you create a breed of super bears who can solve Rubik's Cubes, the fucking Hellraiser configuration. They're unlocking the Cenobites. The Cenobites are there for their caloric load.
Yeah. Is it pain? Is it pleasure? Who knows?
Or is it donuts? I am sorry.
Miss Donut doesn't.
Now, the New Hampshire state government also notes that they noticed that the bears were breeding in just the state in general. The bears are breeding faster.
Yeah, because they're awake for fucking 4 more months than they're used to.
And the bears are breeding more than hunters could kill them. Right. So even though they had these like rules, go out and kill these bears, they had hunting season for bears. And at the end of the season, they would still have more bears than when they started.
Because they were these fat, lazy bears that were living off the yurt garbage.
And so they had 4 like.
They're eating all that McDonald's, hormones in the food. The bears got big titties.
Oh.
But at the same time, because New Hampshire is live free or die, they tried to pass things like you have to have your garbage has to be put into a bin that is like that can be locked up, bear-proof bin. Voted down.
Fuck that.
No way.
And so what people started doing is they started just like finding ways to kill bears. In 2014, 4 bears died of mass chocolate toxicosis.
Oh,
So
Don't tickle me. I'm full of chocolate.
yes, exactly. So it was, as they noted, quote, likely represents the most significant case of chocolate-induced mortality ever.
Whoa.
wow.
Well, I mean, you can't leave out cocaine because that only.
I think, yeah.
But that was only one.
But they
That
didn't
was
die
one
of
bear.
They didn't die of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
They died of cocoa,
Yes.
not coca.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, I imagine that's probably because they have the same sort of issues with chocolate that dogs have, right?
Constitution.
Theobromine, the situation.
And Hunglow's headline goes into this. There's a very interesting chapter, and I can get into, but it's about the idea of how mice get this parasite that makes them attractive to cats.
Toxoplasma.
And so
is that true?
because the parasite is desperate,
Toxoplasmosis is the disease.
the parasite wants to get into the cat.
It makes the rats attracted to cat piss sexually.
Fuck out of here.
Because
You've never
that-
heard of this?
No.
Then the parasite, when it's inside the cat, then it breathes through their shit,
Yeah,
right?
the parasite can only reproduce in the intestines of cats.
Holy
So
shit.
it gets
So
into
it make-
into rats.
the rat is seductive to the cat.
No, dummy. Listen.
The cat
no,
looks.
no.
He's looking at the rat. He's
No,
like,
no,
I
no,
like
no,
to
no,
fuck
no,
it.
no, no,
I
no.
gotta
No,
fuck it.
no,
no.
better than that.
The
better than
rat
that.
is attracted to the cat piss.
Oh, please let me taste it. Huh?
And
Well,
the,
I know you love pussy piss.
and
but
the
listen,
rat, because of the parasite, the rat is not as scared
the
of
rat
the cat.
becomes unafraid of the cat.
Yes.
What's up, friend?
But then here's what happens. Then people, when they have cats, they get toxoplasma.
Oh yeah, that's why it's the thing with pregnancy. And
Exactly.
the cats
Stay
in the
away
house.
from
It's the
right.
same thing.
Exactly.
The
So they find out that
litter
like
box.
90% of like motorcycle accident victims are infected with toxoplasma.
fuck off.
Yes.
It's not because they're wildly dangerous vehicles, and they don't wear helmets.
That's exactly it.
It's because they got fucked by the
No,
cat.
they're more.
It's because
they're
people
not wearing helmets.
that are down for fucking riding a motorcycle and riding it in such a way that they get in accidents means that they're reckless and less afraid of it.
Are you saying they don't weave like a?
And then women that get toxoplasma are more sexually promiscuous, etc., so on and so forth.
Are you talking about bad blood when you say
I'm talking about bad
toxoplasma?
brains, which
Bad
is a
brains.
good band.
Good.
So
Yeah.
a theory.
Well, look that up. Seriously, that's worthy of a profile on something.
A theory that he jokingly, kind of half-heartedly puts forward.
There were
is
so many rats.
that what
Fuck
he's
off.
saying maybe the people and the bears have this symbiotic thing because of maybe some parasite.
bro.
And the parasite is government.
No, it's really this, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Educated opinion.
You
Here
ready
we
to-
go,
you
yeah.
ready to-
It's really this, in my opinion.
It's really this. And
in
always
my
starts out with
opinion.
yeah, go ahead.
It's really this, in my opinion.
It's your opinion.
It's
that
my-
might be this.
It's really this, in my opinion.
Okay.
And you can totally disagree with me. Probably what will happen will be you will agree and piggyback off it
Probably.
to make yourself look smart. Mm-hmm. But
I have trouble.
this is what I believe. I believe it is the culmination of the most selfish policies being swatted back hard by the most communal system, which is nature. And it is showing that they're like, you are not fucking alone. This is not a vanity project. You cannot act like you cannot live without everybody. Everybody depends on everyone else. And so you cannot go out into the wilderness and demand not to pay a couple of fucking taxes.
Nature demands a tribute.
Nature, it's just the whole system demands
exactly.
acknowledge of it.
Without a doubt.
You cannot. See what's happening? He's agreeing with you. See,
I'm agreeing with you.
What did I say?
I'm agreeing with you.
What did I say? He's going to piggyback off it.
Do you want me to disagree?
Well, why don't you just put out a really terrible idea then?
Yeah, I'll disagree. Say something stupid. Shouldn't be hard.
I'll tell you what. The whole thing.
How about this? Not only that, but this.
Check me out one time like
The
this.
super selfish ethos that you're describing is a misread of, let's say, the survival of the fittest dogma of natural selection and evolution, because more than the word competition is mentioned in Origin of Species, cooperation and love are mentioned more.
Yes.
Because yes, nature is a bloodbath,
Yeah.
but it only survives because
The pack.
the pack survives.
The pack survives. It is a thing, and it's It's just showing to you that like almost like,
it's which we talked about at the beginning, way too oversimplified of a view to say that, oh, well, everybody can make their own decisions. And if everybody is an informed consent participant, everyone does better because they look out for their own self-interest. It's not how it works. We're a super organism, right? And so is nature.
And by looking out for other people, you're also looking out for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why it takes a village to raise a child is the thing where it's like the person going like, okay, here's my kid, and here's the tiny village in which we live, and here's this dynamic group of people that are not the parents of my child, but they have all these other different things going on that I don't necessarily think about.
Yes.
And so I can learn so much from them and what it means for my child's survival.
Yeah. And if I take care of this neighbor's kid, that's 2 more eyes on my kid.
Yeah. And not only that, it's just like the getting out of the idea of competition and being like, oh, our neighbor's kid is like not really that cool, or like my teacher's child is a piece of shit. It's like, no. Treat everybody kind.
How about you compete? Stop competing with yourselves and compete against the overwhelming oppression of physics.
Yeah.
Yes.
And entropy and the sun. Compete against death.
Yeah.
How about that competition?
I mean, trauma begets trauma.
Hey,
love,
WandaVision, man.
Love begets love. I mean,
it's also like it's such a fucking pride and ego driven thing, and it's something I told you before when I was sitting next to that woman on the plane, and I was talking about
she was farting.
India was talking about like taking off with the robotics, and the whole New York Times article was about like, why are these not the jobs that we were promised?
Right.
And I was sitting next to an Indian woman. I was like, what do you think about this? And she goes, I mean, do you want to hear? I was like, yes. And she was like, okay, well, right now we're in the middle of this housing, crisis with the economy and in the States. She goes, people, like a couple getting a house they can barely afford, never would happen in India. It would be like, you guys have this mortgage. Now your whole family moves in with you.
Right.
We all have a mortgage.
We make sure you can pay it off. And then the next person, they buy a house, and then we all move in with them.
That's one of the real tragedies of COVID right now, is because all of these immigrant families have generations living together because that's how they're figuring out how to survive.
But that's also how most of humanity has lived for most of human history.
Right, but there's like this new thing of the arrogance of absurd legacy.
Yes.
Like where everybody is a celebrity, where it's like, oh, me and my young wife got a house and we didn't need anybody to help us out. It's like, that's Fantasyland. That's fucking.
Right. I should also say it is Fantasyland for me to just say it is immigrants. There's plenty of non-immigrant families that are also living together.
Right.
Of course,
for the most of human history, it's been that way. But it's also, like you said,
there's a shame applied to it here.
There is. And
that's not...
the same libertarian Rand Paul is also shaming poor people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to shave poor people myself.
Yeah. That's my kink.
I'm sorry.
Call me weird.
Call me pervert.
Call me pervert.
But I shave them, it's going to grow back.
Yeah. I'd set up a free shave line.
Hell yeah.
New depression. You're depressed. I'm not.
Harry's razors and all that shit,
Harry's razors?
Yeah, it's one of them berry.
We're not there yet.
No, we don't get them as a sponsor yet. No, anyways, continue the story, man.
Okay. All right, so let's run it down. Let's get to 2000. So New Hampshire government notices that bears are happening more. Bears are happening more. But anyway,
the bears are happening.
So as all of this is happening, the bears are encroaching on society more and more, which is kind of ironic.
We're
because
really encroaching on them,
right?
And the Native Americans my name is Paul, and it's between y'all, and it is just like Paul.
Plymouth Rock landed on them, and in 2000,
I thought it landed on Malcolm X.
in 2012, a woman in Grafton hears a noise on her porch, and her dog runs out, and it's just one of these things where she doesn't pull the shade back to see who's on her porch. The dog runs out, and she opens her door to the porch. There's 2 cubs. Then she sees the mother bear. Mother bear jumps on her and starts clawing at her, and she says,
"Dogs are gone." Dog's like, "I'm out of here."
She says, she sees like the moon is in the sky, and the mother bear's mouth opened, and was swallowing her entire head.
Jesus Christ.
And as this is happening, her dog bites the mother bear, and the bear jumps back and goes after the dog. And she has enough,
Blood in her head.
yeah, mental state to
Yeah, you can say that.
to crawl into the house and
I realize how much she saved on taxes.
I saved so much money by switching to Geico.
So here's the fucked up thing. She wasn't one of those folks. No, she'd been living in this town for decades.
She was an ardent communist.
Yeah.
To each according to her needs.
And she fucking paid. She subscribed to PBS.
Yeah. That's why she never prosecuted the bear. It was the bear's need.
And the bear had torn her right arm, just like her right arm didn't work.
No.
And and
she didn't.
And she like crawls out, and she like her dog.
She was a lefty?
Her dog bites the bear, and the bear runs off, and she has enough temerity to get into her car, but it's the standard, and she has to shift.
Oh
with, like,
man! Oh God! If only she was driving a fucking British car,
And she has enough in her to use her other arm to her left arm to shift
to get the Hemi
and
going.
she drives like one house down, which of course is like 10 minutes, and she drives one
and
house.
the road's all fucked up.
Well, she drives one house down, and she pulls her this guy's place.
And he's an ardent libertarian.
No.
I don't open for nobody.
Again, he's a guy who he lives there, and she knocks on his door, and he sticks his head out the window. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "I was attacked by a bear. I got to go to the hospital." And he ducks back into his house, and then like a minute later, he comes back and his head out the window again. He goes, "You're joking, right?" And she's like, "No, I'm fucking bleeding to death.
Hospital's closed, man.
Drive me to the."
You didn't notice my tentacle arm?
And so he drives her to the fire department, the volunteer fire department where Babiar's is,
Where they handle common pranks.
Yeah, and they get her to the hospital, but it's the first known bear attack in over 100 years.
No.
In that area, yeah. And so like as Hongo's Hetling writes, he writes, burglary rates are up, drug crimes are up, and now bears are attacking people in their houses. Yeah. What is going on in this place?
Also, how about that dog, huh?
Yeah, really great.
Hero.
Dog. Really
God.
great dog. Really
I
great.
know,
dogs,
again,
huh?
this is the miracle of domestication.
And so
And one day a bear will be that. One day you'll have your pet bear fighting you off from the giant mutant dogs.
Exactly.
One day
That's gone wild.
One day a real bear will come.
Wash away all the real.
All the Godzillas.
Yeah.
And so after this, now the media starts showing up, and it becomes a whole thing. And so
Liberal media.
yeah.
Can we get an interview with the dog? I understand it was a Chihuahua. That's so brave.
Mexican,
Do you know what
huh?
kind of dog it was?
No. I think he mentions it as maybe a collie or something. It's a medium-sized dog.
Are you talking about Lassie?
No,
The iconic American dog?
Lassie's dead.
Which one?
All of them.
Also, all the lassies were guys.
Which is hot.
So, I mean, if you believe in that.
I mean,
Yeah.
and gave birth too. So the media starts covering it, and so people in town and Hongo Tailing doesn't reveal. He eventually figures out who some of these people are, but he doesn't ever say who they are, because there's this thing. Everybody in town does this thing when he interviews them. They always say
Well, his
something.
name's Hungos.
Well, they say something to him. They say friendly advice. That's the thing they always say to him. And they say like, friendly advice. If you ever break into my house, I'll shoot you. And everybody in town has this same friendly advice type of thing.
The fucking Children of the Corn shit.
Yeah. And so he doesn't ever say, but eventually he figures out. So everybody in town has heard people hunting before, right? Because there's woods around them. But one day, you hear one shot. You hear one bullet.
Our town has a secret.
You hear one shot, clean kill, right? You hear one shot, and then there's a pause, and there's like a minute later, there's a second shot, finishing off. You hear two quick shots, you're like, okay, they fucked it up. But in 2012, a realtor is going through a house in Grafton, and she's doing inventory, and she knows the sound of hunting. And as she's going through this inventory, she hears,
A real hunter leaves no sound.
Break yourself! She hears that.
I'm the type of hunter, you don't hear nothing but the carcass hitting the pavement.
It's like sideways gun.
no.
Break yourself!
She just hears
Talks cheap, motherfucker.
She just hears nonstop gunfire for maybe like an hour, basically in the woods. And so what happened? It's a secret in town who the men were, but it's not really. It's a secret to the reporter, but it's not a secret to people in town.
Well, friendly
these men went into town, went to every known den in the woods, and killed all the bears they could find. They killed 13 bears. That's the word around town.
Not even close to the 49 that fucking one guy, the fucking Scotsman had. If you had a whole crew of you fucking Yanks, you only got 13. I did 49 in a fortnight and I'm in fucking wasted. Good luck beating that record, you fucking lily-livered pantaloon wearing fucking assholes.
You don't know how to track a fucking bear. It's got the biggest foot.
You fucking open the door for a family of bears, you fucking amateur. Would you have your fucking lily pussy dog save you? Good luck.
The footprints are like a fucking catcher's mitt, mate.
Fucking idiot.
You can't find the bear,
You open the door for a bear like telegram. I saw that SNL. Rookie mistake. Opening the door for a fucking bear. Telegram.
I'll tell you something. I stopped fucking beaver fucking architecture for a century, mate.
No fucking.
I put them back in.
We've got fucking building codes in Scotland. No fucking beavers building a dam on my fucking watch. We've got rules and regulations.
They're back in
William Wallace didn't fucking die for anarchy.
They're back in the Stone Age, mate. The whole fucking place is in civic disarray.
You rule by the consent of the governed. It's we the people, not I.
They're back in the tent, mate.
So they killed 13 bears.
Oh,
And the
sad.
next year they were
Pubs too?
It's under the
Yeah,
replacement
The wee
rate.
ones?
They couldn't even keep up.
and that's a legal thing to do because they just you kill a bear in its den. That's basically
Home invasion.
it's home invasion.
Well, the bear invaded her home.
Well, who knows
And
that
they're making up for lost time and.
one? And
Sorry.
to be fair, the Fish and Game Department of New Hampshire did not do a good job.
Because they were defunded.
Well, there's partially that, but they put a bear trap outside of her house
She stepped in.
with like a donut in it, and and she's sleeping at home, and she just hears like a bear going against it,
No.
like fighting it, and then the next morning, I think like the donut's gone and the trap's still there, and the Fish and Game Department's like, okay, well, and then they just take it away. And that was it.
Did they leave the cannoli or what?
And also, there's a part where like the Fish and Game didn't do a good job of reporting it.
Because they're staffed by.
Yeah,
Because government doesn't do a good job, and we're gonna make sure of it.
There's a lot of that.
I mean, it's very weird to be in the Department of Fish too, right?
I don't think so, man.
Fish and Game, John.
You know,
Fish is one of the highest sources of calories for the entire world.
Well, I know you're talking about fucking moose and how they're 7 feet tall.
They are, dude.
You're so turned on by it.
I'm fucking horny.
You should join the Department of Fish and Game.
I should join the Moose Lodge or the Elks Lodge.
Oh, I've been to that.
I'd like to lodge a moose and
I like to put him up for the night.
I'd like to lodge.
I like to pay his rent.
I'd like to
So
eat on me, tread on me. You can tread on me.
after these bears were legally killed, the year after the bears were legally killed, there were no bear complaints for that's the only year on record where there were no bear complaints.
Yeah.
And so that worked, but also don't do that. There's
You could eat them.
Hongo's Hedling. He tells the story of this in a bear den in Alaska. They had a camera, and a father and son showed up, killed the bears and the cubs, and then like stood there being like, we're fucking awesome at this. We go anywhere and we kill shit. We're really cool. I love you. This is awesome. And it's like, man, these are two really bad people. Eventually, because of the camera, they got enough evidence to put the dad in jail for 3 months.
What about the wee one?
No, he's probably too young. But they
you
fucking
too, Dad.
skied there. It's like a whole thing. It's like
Also, I'm sure it wasn't beneficial for the child to see his dad put in a cage.
Yeah. And no one shot him when he was in that cage. It's just like you're killing an animal that is completely defenseless because it's sleeping.
Yeah.
You went to its house and shot
the
it.
vast majority.
And it's not an invasive species like fucking wild boar that are running through fucking crops and shit like that.
Well, they were
this was
invasive
a punitive,
but not in
vengeful.
that
This was a
sense, yeah.
vengeful killing.
Yeah, it's
this
just
is
too-
not like, listen, man, we got a population. We got to fucking get rid of like these fucking white-tailed deer that weren't even from this continent.
But
and
also
shit. It's mad toxic.
Generally, like, that whole species is like, when they see like civilized man, they're like, let's get out of here. They slowly go away.
Well, yeah, for the most part.
For the
that's
most
what-
part.
Yeah.
When they get drawn in by smells and stuff, of course that's different. But
Yeah.
but for the most part, they really are trying to be left alone.
Yeah, and that's what you see the difference in their when they learn this is a way of survival, and also that works for that type of you can also describe libertarians in that same way. In 2016, the free
Is their sense of smell really good?
No, they're just
Got it.
so
They stink.
No, but they do smell.
in 2016 the Free State Project comes to New Hampshire.
We're bigger than a town now. We a free state.
And so that's also, the people who are making these speeches in New Hampshire, these type of people, again, just like, I didn't write down their names, but it's the same old bullshit that you've always heard with libertarian shit. But they come to New Hampshire, and with it, especially because Obama's president, there's a push for more libertarian government.
You're shitting me. After all this? In the same town?
No, in the state now, right?
But based on it happening in that
No,
town.
because the Freetown Project was a splinter group of the original Free State.
Cool. Okay,
From
gotcha.
the log. A splinter from the...
And as is pointed out, it's not the exact reason. It's a convenient coincidence that in 2016, after the Free State Project showed up in New Hampshire, the bear problems in Grafton expanded statewide. But it's just a thing that it was just like it's going to happen eventually. In Hanover, a local bear becomes a celebrity. It starts hanging out by this pond called the Mink Pond, and they call it the Mink Bear. And so people start feeding it, and it seems like a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And then it starts doing a little too much, and then it has cubs, and they're kind of eating shit, and they're like,
Hey, this is gonna hand.
eating out of shit. And
I mean, these guys are characters.
they're going through, like, they're going into people's garages and eating shit, and so they're like, okay, this is fucked up.
This
So
porch is too hot. This porch is too cold.
well, so what they do is they tranquilize the bear, and they move it 100 miles away.
It's a big thing. Just
Well,
like a
they
cage.
they
and
tranked it, and then they just shipped it off, and he's like, "Where the fuck am I?" It's like, old boy.
It's a mother.
Cage,
It's a mother.
on a cord, a helicopter. Just take it far away.
It's a mother, so they move it a couple hundred miles
Dude,
away.
that's what alien abduction is, man.
But then 6 months later, it's back in town with 2 different cubs.
this is my new family.
Well, yeah.
Because this is what it knows, and then what they do is they take it and they move it thousands of miles away into Canada, and 5 years later,
No. Homeward bound.
it goes all the way down into Massachusetts, Connecticut River, and all the way back to where it started.
the Jersey Turnpike.
Exactly, and
Is that Roy Rogers?
but this whole thing, it's fucking up with all of this stuff's happening all over New Hampshire. Between 2013 and 2015, the Fish and Game Department of New Hampshire killed 6 bears, one of which entered someone's house. But between 2016 and 2018, they killed 27 bears, 14 of which entered houses.
amateurs! you put it in a cage and you flew it to fucking Ontario, Calgary, Toronto. Why didn't you fucking put a arrow through its fucking skull?
Do you think you're fucking John Wick, mate?
Because the bears get popular, and then they, because of social media, all of these people are like, you can't kill the bear.
It's got a fucking name and a Facebook page.
It had a Twitter. The Mink Bear had a fucking Twitter.
You've got to exterminate them before their popularity rises.
So in 2018, 14 bears entered people's houses.
No.
Yeah.
In like a mass, like...
No,
They're like raptors.
no,
they can
it-
open doors.
No, like it was organized.
Yeah.
By who? The Scott?
The
It
rats.
was a flash mob, yeah.
Spread out, fellas. We've got him by the fucking testes, mate.
But in 2019, a bear entered a woman's house, and she was in a wheelchair, and he fucking attacked her.
No.
And so-
Because she was
Verbally?
disabled?
Verbally?
Because she was disabled.
Was it a verbal attack? Was it a
wait.
microaggression?
If she was...
Was it verbal violence? It was verbal violence. Yeah.
She fucking peeled out, fellas.
He called her a cripple, and she was like, "No, I'm differently abled." And he was like, "I didn't mean it." And then he just ate her because
No, she didn't die. He just attacked her face and arms. And,
What?
Yeah,
Why is that?
well, she was annoying.
They're bears,
It's a
John.
They're
bears.
But
They're not.
It is a common thing with bears, like where they're like almost bored in the middle of attack, and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking, you're like,
Yeah.
well, you just bit somebody's throat. Like they get bored in the middle of murder.
Well, because it's
no-
not
they
because
didn't put
here's the
thought
thing,
into it.
because it's murder, not feeding.
I guess, yeah.
It's eliminating.
Or what they perceive as defense or whatever.
But whatever. It's just eliminating the threat. If they're hungry, they'll eat you from the ass up.
yeah.
They're not gonna like bother waiting for you to die to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are just defending or attack, dude,
I start with the ass.
dude. That's what happens with a lot of wild animals. They eat you from the ass up while you're alive.
Seriously?
If you're lucky.
Wolves, fucking cheetahs and shit. Tiger, like why?
What?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah, because when you die, your body, like when you straight up die, your body releases all these fucking chemicals into your body, and it's
Through
no
the
longer,
butthole.
it's no longer like
Well, that's why you're
appetizing.
always
That
hard,
doesn't
too.
take like a stress. Like if you are hunting and you kill an animal poorly, it releases all these stress chemicals and stuff, and the meat gets all fucking nasty and gross. That's why like
so
a
if
quick death is better.
right.
So that's why like
said it.
an animal will eat you alive because. Dude, what's more fresh than alive?
Because your butthole's incredible.
You said
Well, my butthole's incredible, and it lives on.
It's like, this guy's butthole tastes like he kills people with a single arrow.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's no two-arrow boy.
No.
I mean, this guy seems like he means business.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually the Free State Project would be the thing that helped finish the Freetown Project. Some of the people that were part of the Freetown Project in Grafton, there's a story of one of them taking over the church and him dying and some other people moving out and dying. And there's not time to get into that. But the Free State Project people, instead of moving to Grafton, they moved to a place like Keene, New Hampshire, which has a university, 23,000 people. And they spend their time doing a thing called Free Keene, which is basically harassing meter maids.
Liberals.
And at 4:20 every day, they go outside and smoke weed.
All right.
Nice.
Cool, man.
And at this point,
What do they do at 690?
yeah. At this point, in the late 2010s, 2018, 2019, Tent City had now built a giant barricade to keep the bears
They
out.
built that wall.
And it has
A
Hongo.
barricade.
Yeah, and Hongo Zedley, he points out that it's like these people moved here to be in the live free and in the wilderness,
Now they've
and yet
walled
they had
themselves
walled
in.
themselves in
Right.
to keep the wilderness
Into
out.
their own bear arcade.
wall. Barricade.
Do a Street Fighter 2.
In 2016, in 2016, the New Hampshire game warden told Donut Lady if she kept feeding the bears, she would be prosecuted under the state's public nuisance laws. She stopped, and so eventually,
Why don't y'all suck my dick?
these days, that whole Freetown project has dissipated,
Really?
and the Grafton librarian, not libertarian, but librarian Deb Clow, she had this to say. This is a woman who
I consider myself the town's historian. Nobody has asked my opinion at all.
Yeah, the library is it's a whole thing of like give funding or don't give funding. Meanwhile, it's the only place with Wi-Fi in town.
Yeah.
So Deb Clow,
You're gonna profit. You're gonna fucking privatize and make. You're gonna profiteer off of history.
It is literally the only government building that is an act of kindness.
It's the only government building where you're not expected to buy something.
Yeah, it's the only place that just goes
You can
like,
just go there.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here, this is for you.
I mean,
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Which is a government offshoot? Is that what you're
No. I mean, like it's one of the few like private places that you can go and they
Not
jack
do anything?
off. Well, you
Will
jack
you
off at the
stop?
fucking library.
No, I know you jack
Well, yeah,
off in the
absolutely.
Starbucks bathroom, you fucking
yeah, and the library.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I'm drawing a parallel betwixt the two, man.
Nice.
So Deb Clow.
You all right with that?
I love a public-private third way politics offshoot.
Hell yeah, man.
Tony Blair and Bill Clinton. Yeah.
Together
No.
at one. Yeah,
Nope. He
They go,
shut
you
it down.
son of a bitch, and it's the fucking two
Tony
hands
Blair.
doing
Bill
it.
Clinton.
It's doing the hands like the two, the black and the white, not the one, but the
Yeah.
two. And they do that.
Right.
With the two thumb, with
And the two thumbs up. It's not the Cisco or the Ebert.
the Gonzo fist with the two thumb. Where's Gonzo?
So Deb Club.
Is that why it's called gonzo porn? Is because they fist?
What?
No, it's just
All right,
it's
cool, man. We'll gloss over that.
Yeah, we'll gloss over.
Go ahead. Wrap it up, man.
Deb Clo, someone who had clearly lived there the entire time this was happening and long before it. She
I see it a lot in this town. I'm the librarian, the libertarian.
her statement on after the Freetown Project ended, she said, "In the last few years, a lot of them have just disappeared off the face of the earth." Wait, sorry. In the last few years, a lot of them have disappeared off the face of the earth. It's like we did with the Moonies back in the 80s. We chewed them out and spit them out. Grafton is a way of doing that.
If you got a Mooney at your job,
Spit him out. Chew him up. Spit him out.
if you got a libertarian in your town,
Chew him up.
chew him up.
And that's why, I mean, I think that the last thing I'm thinking about is like, these people moved to this town thinking easy fix, quarterly profits, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the people who have lived there for generations are going, we've been here longer than
fuck's
your
your
stupid
problem?
ideas even began.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I will stay here and you'll be gone.
Yeah.
I will still be here. And because in the end, longevity is really how you win the
There's
game.
a weird thing too about I think that part of the country with people I've met there, where they're I think of anybody in America, they're the most like British withdrawal,
Yes, yeah.
where they're kind of like they'll listen to all types of bullshit, and it'll go on forever, and like they'll just be and you'll be like, man, this is like a stoic motherfucker, and then you just say something, and you're like, oh, that is dry and
Yeah.
cutting, and like,
Man, you have some fucking patience.
yeah,
man.
and like it's just like happy to let time go.
Yeah.
Like there's like nothing New York about
Yeah,
it.
they're like
So-
they're
so-
on a geological time scale.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like
so it doesn't like it doesn't register with me at all. But like I respect the shit out of it. Where they're like they let something they like the last comment sit
yeah.
right there in the middle,
That's the
And
last
then-
comment in the middle.
and then they go. Well, I don't agree with that at all. like it's like they come back like so much later and like make some kind of a dry joke or
Right.
just say like a withering
Yeah.
kind of like just like discrepancy with everything that's gone on
They've
before.
let you put yourself out there.
They let you
And they've
make
rejected
a
it.
fool of yourself, and then they just stick a fucking fork in.
Because
right, and there's something very libertarian about that kind of attitude too, where you go
absolutely.
like, anything you do is not gonna change what I do.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's your opinion.
You know what I mean? It's just thing of going like, you know,
Great.
you're just a different type of flashy.
I mean,
And you're disguising yourself.
Yeah, you're loud. You're just loud.
You're just loud.
well,
and annoying.
the real libertarian among those two people is the one that is not forcing their opinion on you.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of what it's all about. It's just kind of like, you know, I think the mythology it's shrouded in is just about being like, everybody showing up and going like, okay, well, I'm doing this. Is that wrong? You know what I mean?
Right.
And everybody going like, well, I don't fucking care. I'm also on a huge patch of land, but like from the beginning, everything's wrong.
Yeah, there's difference. There's a difference between like wanting to be able to keep to oneself and not be have your life meddled within. But then there's like being aggressively libertarian.
Leave me
right?
alone.
Aggressively
Yeah.
libertarian doesn't
Hey,
sound
everybody,
libertarian.
like running out in the middle of the street saying, "Hey, leave me alone! I'm gonna piss everywhere.
Yeah.
That's my right." Like,
Right.
all right. Well, now you're pissing everywhere. That's a problem.
If Aaron has 400 acres and he spends most of his time on the edge being like, don't you come on my acres.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, why are you such a bastard
Right.
about it? Just
Yes.
fuck off, you know?
Yes.
It's like, it's
I
kind
want
of,
everybody to know this is mine.
yeah.
Right. Why did Rand Paul's neighbor fucking fight him? Because Rand Paul was a shitty neighbor.
Yeah. Why'd that one guy shoot him on a golf course? You know.
Rand Paul was a piece of shit, being like, I'm a libertarian, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And it's
I like to think about him more
you're
being
affecting other
Randy
people.
Paul, because it's just like Paul. And he gets so Randy for his mother, which Grace, I think it was his name, Grace, is so into. What is her name? I think it's
Rand Paul's.
No, Julia Anderson's and Peg's.
Oh, Aunt Peg.
In the series, I believe it's
Janine? Gina?
It is something like Janine or something.
Gina.
But anyway, she loves Paul.
Gina.
Yeah.
Ron Paul, Rand Paul,
Paul Ryan.
Randy Paul,
Paul
Paul
Bear.
Newman.
Paul Bunyan,
Paul Bear.
Paul
Oh, I know
Bunyan.
nobody likes Paul Bear. No.
No.
Not until you did.
Oh,
Dude,
shaking the
I
neck
don't-
fat.
that's
You
just-
loved that.
Dude, Paul Bear freaks me out.
It really
still,
freaks.
bro.
I know,
Still
dude.
freaks me out.
I love that freaks you out. Whoa.
I don't want to talk about it.
What about when Undertaker was like a
I'm
biker?
not having fun anymore.
What about when Undertaker was a biker like Chris Colt?
No, that was pretty cool, man.
I'm in the Hells Angels now. I don't got
Yeah,
Paul
no,
Bear.
that was pretty cool, man.
He's not dragging me down.
That's pretty cool.
He's got that spare tire
I
around
like
his
that.
neck.
That's all right.
Isn't
What
that
about when
hot?
Kane became like mayor of Cincinnati? Or something?
Yeah.
Goldberg. Is that Goldberg?
No, he's a Jew.
Which is illegal these days.
Yeah, in Freetown.
I don't think so here in New Hampshire.
I don't like the way you Canaanites do business here.
Now, in your town, the dog does the legislation. The Canaanites. That's different.
That's pretty good, Matt.
Man's best friend.
I thought you boys would enjoy that.
Baseball fever. Catch it.
Catch it.
We're talking about
Out of sight.
Hey, all right.
the perspectives where he's talking
Yeah, no, that's
about the Jackie Robinson
Baseball fever.
50th anniversary. He's like, yeah, actually, Lionel, he was, spit on and called like, racial slurs
been
and
chewed up and
he
beat
goes,
up and
that's
kicked
terrific.
off stage.
He goes, that's terrific. And he goes, no, it wasn't terrific. Lionel. He goes, his own teammates wouldn't even speak to him in the locker room. He goes, he was not like
Ostracized.
he was treated terribly. And he goes, out of sight. He goes, no, it's not out of sight, Lionel. He goes, it was a tragedy and terrible. And he goes,
Baseball fever.
catch it. Baseball fever, catch it.
It's so good.
Respect.
Guys, if you're listening, still,
Which you aren't.
No, you're not. But also watch all of the perspectives
That's right.
available on the internet. It is the most understated and brilliant Tim Meadows sketch of, I think, his entire
All
career.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. If you just joined us at 4:52 on the AM, this is Perspectives. I'm your host, Lionel Osborne.
That's a little hot.
Wasn't that fun?
That was fun.
You like that?
Yeah.
The
you guys like that.
Libertarians.
Liberturds.
Oh, God. They got really out of hand, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was wild.
Out of claw. Out of mitt. Out of paw.
Yeah.
It's just like paw.
It's
Just like
it's an inherently, like, I think also, like, just, like, cowardly, like, experiment to be like, let's do it in this New Hampshire hamlet.
Yeah, let's fucking invade other people's
You're like,
space. To be a
but also,
dickhead.
like, here's the thing where, like, you're like, almost nothing can fuck up this town except us.
Yeah.
And they do.
And they do.
What did you like? Did you like that? Did you like learning about that?
Yeah.
Is that what you enjoy?
It was a really frustrating but also wonderful read because it
Seems
was
like a great fucking book.
these people are fucking
It looks
assholes.
like a fun
but-
read.
Yeah.
Who gave you that? Like, somebody we knew gave you that book, no?
No,
The library.
Someone did suggest it after I had finished it, but I heard
okay.
about it through something else, and
Dope.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember somebody suggesting it.
Yeah.
That was a fine time. I
Yeah.
think we can all fuck off. I think
Yeah.
we said enough about
I think so.
choice,
Sure.
state support,
Teamwork.
There's plenty more to talk about.
beaver dams,
on the page.
gators, bears,
Architecture.
pelts, hides.
The trade. Commerce.
Let's fuck off. I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
Aaron Pita.
Mapperso.
Good night, everybody. We love you so much.
Thank you.
Starburns Audio.